Chapter 2255. Both King Yewu and Tran Hung were afraid of the ancient world group. This was also why King Yewu had sent a message to Tran Hung and asked him to send his soul incarnation over. Okay. If it's not safe, I'll bring everyone back, Night Sorrow said. If the ancient world tree can exist, it means that it's deep and unpredictable. Be careful. If you can't handle it, retreat. Who would have thought that it's not so easy to behave atrociously in the celestial realm? Tran Hung reminded him again. Then, his soul incarnation dispersed. The Grand Elder took out a map that Tran Hung had asked him to bring. This is the map that Tran Hung asked me to bring. It contains some of his experience in exploring the ancient world group. Some of the situations are also recorded. Night Sorrow opened the map and looked at it. Then, he slapped his head. There were hundreds of ancient worlds depicted on the map. Looking at the map, Night Sorrow knew that he had underestimated the situation. Don't feel pressured. Just take it as an experience. Take it as an adventure, King Yewu said. Under normal circumstances, King Yewu would be worried. However, when he saw the heavenly concubine in a white dress standing behind Night Sorrow, he felt more at ease. He also saw the heavenly concubine's realm. She was in the same realm as him. She was in the divine soul-uniting realm of the tribulation of the 9 emperors. She was in the strongest realm under the God-destroying tribulation. Then, Night Sorrow led his men into the entrance of the ancient world group. Captain, I'll lead a team forward. Shall we coordinate with you? Long Jean asked. No. This time, we won't split up. That's too dangerous. This ancient world group is different from the previous battles. In the past, we pursued the enemy's strength and efficiency. This time, we'll focus on exploring and understanding. Night Sorrow shook his head. He didn't agree with Long Jin's suggestion. Long Jin nodded. Indeed, this time is different from the previous ones. Night Sorrow led the team forward. When they encountered cultivators who took the initiative to attack or had hostile intent, they would kill them directly. The members of the God-slaying team with a lower cultivation base would attack while the Blood Chilan King and Heavenly Astral King who were slightly stronger would attack. Did you want to fight but never had the chance? Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow who was rubbing his fingers and smiled. Everyone is too crazy. I don't even have the chance to make a move. Night Sorrow smiled bitterly. Battles broke out from time to time, mainly because the ancient world's cultivators had a strong desire to attack Night Sorrow and the others. They don't really fight with each other. Why would they kill us the moment they see us? Lin Piaomiao asked in confusion. It's very simple. Our souls are fundamentally different from theirs. Our souls are from the Supreme World and the future Supreme World. We have the aura of origin energy and the characteristics of life origin energy. This is extremely tempting to them. Refining our divine pearls will be of great help to them, said the heavenly concubine. I see. They see us as materials. Then we can only kill them. We can't let them enter the celestial realm. Hearing the heavenly concubine's explanation, Lin Piaomiao's expression changed. Fundamentally speaking, the ancient world's cultivators are more terrifying than the Demon Wing clan. The Demon Wing clan is fighting with us for the right to rule the celestial realm. It's for the space to live. If the ancient world's cultivators appear, it will be followed by a massacre, Night Sorrow said. The heavenly concubine nodded. She agreed with Night Sorrow's point of view. She was once the divine ancestor of the Demon Wing clan. Naturally, she knew that the Demon Wing clan occupied the celestial realm and ruled it. If the cultivators of the 100 races in the celestial realm submitted to them, they wouldn't kill them. However, the ancient world's cultivators were different. They treated other cultivators as materials. Essence blood, nascent soul pearls, and nascent soul pearls were all materials that they wanted. Don't care about that. If the foreign races are plotting against the celestial realm, we will kill them, said the heavenly astral king. What we lack is strength, said Night Sorrow. With Night Sorrow and heavenly concubine in the team, there wasn't much pressure on them during the journey of battle and training. After a few battles, Knight Sorrow had a measure of his own strength. When his original body fought alone, it was slightly stronger than the tribulation of the 8 emperors. However, it was weaker than the tribulation of the 9 emperors. He would be suppressed by the tribulation of the 9 emperors, but he could protect himself. #6 When his original body and avatar fought, they were comparable to the tribulation of the 9 emperors. However, they couldn't suppress them. Knight Sorrow's combat power shocked the heavenly concubine. The Blood Kirin King and the others also understood that among the 100 races in the celestial realm, other than the 3 giants, Knight Sorrow was the strongest. However, this was only the current situation. After entering the group of ancient worlds for a year, Knight Sorrow's cultivation had truly stabilized. He had killed many of the tribulation of the 8 emperors. He and the heavenly concubine had killed 5 of the tribulation of the 9 emperors. He and the heavenly concubine had killed 2 of the divine soul unity realm experts. However, the price they paid was relatively high. At this moment, Knight Sorrow was injured. In order to block the danger for the god-slaying team, he took 2 attacks from the opponent. His body was penetrated by the opponent's sword. A full-power sword attack from a divine soul unity realm expert wasn't simple. It injured Knight Sorrow's meridians. Knight Sorrow's original body was injured. The situation at that time didn't allow him to think too much. If the divine soul unity realm expert killed his way into the god-slaying team and the first army, then the problem would be serious. There would be a lot of casualties. Looking at the wound on his chest that couldn't be healed due to the corrosion of energy, Knight Sorrow released the Clear Sky Pagoda. His original body entered and started to heal while his avatar stood guard outside. The attack power of a divine soul unity realm expert is too strong. If we take it head-on, we'll be in trouble, Knight Sorrow's avatar said. He knew that there was still a big gap between him and a top-notch expert. It was still possible for him to fight skillfully, but if he were to fight head-on, he wouldn't be able to withstand it. It was a fact that his realm was low and his true chi cultivation was inferior to the opponent. Brother Shursan, it's our fault that you got injured, Qin Jin said apologetically. Just now, when they were watching the battle, they were too excited and got too close to the front. As a result, the opponent attacked them. It's not a bad thing. It also made me understand myself. If I'm injured, I'll just heal myself. It's not a big deal. Knight Sorrow patted Qin Jin's shoulder and said. Qin Jin nodded. He knew that Knight Sorrow was comforting them. Because Knight Sorrow was injured, the team stopped moving. Knight Sorrow was the main force of the team. It was important for him to maintain his combat strength at peak condition. The team stopped moving and everyone cultivated to stabilize their cultivation. Knight Sorrow wasn't the only one who used actual combat to stabilize his cultivation. The others did the same. A bunch of crazy brats. They're just like their captain. However, this is indeed the fastest way to improve, Blood Kirin King said. Heavenly Concubine looked at Knight Sorrow's back as he investigated the situation. Some thoughts appeared in her mind. She knew that the process of injury and recovery was the process of accumulating one's foundation. When one's foundation was enough, the bottleneck of the everlasting attribute would loosen, and the chances of breaking through would be much higher. Inside the Clear Sky Pagoda, Knight Sorrow was using the everlasting body tempering art. He was constantly breaking off parts of his body to repair the damage to his main body. At the same time, he was also cultivating. Chapter 2256. The limitless body tempering art was a supreme art for recovering injuries. The body's limbs and main torso came from the same source. It was the most suitable way to replenish other parts of the body. However, the regeneration of broken limbs required a lot of resources. It wasn't something an ordinary person could afford. Luckily, Knight Sorrow had accumulated a lot of resources and could afford it. In the real world, 3 days had passed. Knight Sorrow had spent half a year in the accelerated healing process before his injuries were completely healed. Half a year wasn't a short time. However, it wasn't easy for Night Sorrow to recover from injuries of that level. It was normal for experts to take decades or even centuries to recover from injuries. Young City Lord, are you okay? Don't leave any old injuries. It's not good for your cultivation. Blood Lin King looked at Night Sorrow, who had merged with his avatar. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Blood Lin King. Thank you for your concern. I'm fine. I've fully recovered. That's good. That's amazing. It's only been 3 days. Blood Lin King nodded at Night Sorrow. He was really impressed by Night Sorrow. He had seen with his own eyes the extent of Yi Shang's injuries. I cultivate my body, so I have a bigger advantage in this aspect. However, the ancient world's cultivators are really strong. Their forces are scattered all over the ancient world. They haven't found the entrance to the celestial realm. If they attack together, the celestial realm won't be able to stop them. Night Sorrow said. He was a little afraid. The ancient world's cultivators had been through countless years. Plus, they had a long cultivation heritage. Therefore, they were very strong. Yes, they have a lot of experts. However, they don't have a unified command. If they really work together and find the entrance to the celestial realm, it'll be a big problem. Astral King had the same worry as Night Sorrow. That's right. Therefore, we have to make a new plan. My idea is to use the connection between the ancient world and the celestial realm as the center. We have to clean up all sides and try our best to prevent that tunnel from being discovered. Night Sorrow said. Yes, protecting the celestial realm is our goal, and protecting the spatial tunnel is the most effective way, Lin Piamiao said. Sister Xianer, deploy the Heaven Wasteland Army and send other soldiers to Reincarnation Island. Gather the Heaven Wasteland Army of the 3rd Unified Heaven Wasteland Army and have them prepare for battle at the spatial passageway. If they have doppelgangers, scatter them near the spatial passageway. If other cultivators approach, report it immediately. Sister Xian, your clone will be stationed at the entrance of the spatial passageway. If anything happens, inform me immediately. Night Sorrow said to Lin Piamiao. Lin Piamiao nodded and went to make arrangements. Reincarnation Island's defense wasn't that important. Reincarnation Island had been reborn for a long time, and the Nirvana Tide and Extinguishing Storm had returned to normal. The possibility of cultivators flying over was extremely low. After the arrangements were made, Night Sorrow led his men and started to move. They didn't go deeper, but instead started to explore in an arc. He wanted to clear a space that protected the celestial realm's spatial passageway. The battle was still ongoing, but Night Sorrow didn't have many opportunities to act. Cultivators above the 8 Emperors' tribulation wouldn't appear as they wished. Although there was no battle, Night Sorrow still had some insights in his mind. However, improvement needed to be done step by step, and it wasn't easy to achieve. Heavenly Concubine, this is the cultivation technique for the leakless body. Take it and cultivate. After cultivating it, if your cultivation and battle strength are the same as your opponent, your body's energy consumption will be lower, and you will have the upper hand in terms of energy consumption. Night Sorrow wrote a leakless body cultivation technique and handed it to the Heavenly Concubine. I've been coveting your leakless body for a long time and didn't know how to ask. Now, I finally got it. The Heavenly Concubine said with a smile. What do you need? Just tell me. You still have to hide things in your heart. How boring. Night Sorrow shook his head and said. I can't bring myself to do this. Oh right, you're suitable to cultivate the Thousand Realms defensive body, but I... Can you ask Tree's Sovereign for it? If she doesn't give it to you, I'll give it to you. The Heavenly Concubine thought for a moment and said. I won't make things difficult for you. Night Sorrow shook his head and went into the tent. /original VB version Y29 shots, my life belongs to the 9 regions world. I don't care about favors. The Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow's figure and muttered. You can't think like that. Night Sorrow treats you as a friend. You're the protector of the 9 regions world. Everyone hopes that you can live happily. Lin Piao Miao said. I know. I know that your Yi family is kind and generous. I was just joking with myself. Don't take it seriously. The heavenly concubine said. Lin Piao Miao nodded. She realized that the heavenly concubine's mentality was really good. She had such a huge setback, but it didn't affect her state of mind. Instead, she improved by leaps and bounds and cultivated to the soul unity realm. Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea. He drank it while thinking. He felt that things were troublesome. The cultivators of the ancient world group were too strong. They were much stronger than the cultivators of the celestial realm. After all, their foundation was different. Their cultivation heritage was too long and they lacked resources. However, they could still cultivate by plundering. What are you thinking about? Blood Lin King entered the tent. The cultivators of the ancient world group are too big of a threat to the celestial realm. When they see us, it's like they've seen prey. They're completely crazy. If we let them enter the celestial realm, it'll be a disaster. Night Sorrow expressed his worries. That's right. They're a huge threat. We can't let them enter the celestial realm. Blood Lin King nodded. He wasn't confident either. That was why he came to Night Sorrow's tent. We don't have a good plan now. We can only hide the entrance first. Then, we can slowly eliminate the threat of the ancient world group. Night Sorrow thought for a while and said. That's the only way. But in fact, the ancient world group is too big. In this 1 year, how many ancient worlds have we discovered outside the map? It's a huge portion. Blood Lin King said. The ancient world group isn't formed by the destruction of a single sovereign world. It should be an area formed by the destruction of multiple sovereign worlds. Their inheritances are also different. It won't be easy to deal with them. Yi Shang shook his head. Blood Lin King didn't say anything. He knew that Night Sorrow had thought of the same problem. Let's fight. Let's focus on the ancient world group. As for the Demon Wing clan, they're not strong enough. They're not a big threat. Of course, with the Demon Imperial City, we won't be able to eliminate them no matter how hard we try. Night Sorrow said. It's okay if the Demon Wing clan stays put. If they jump around, won't it be troublesome? Blood Lin King smiled bitterly. He was worried. Chapter 2257. Haha. That's right. If there's a fight, let's fight. Who can say they can take the celestial realm? We can't take down the Demon Imperial City, but the Demon Wings clan can't take over the celestial realm either. Blood Kirin King's mind suddenly became clear. Blood Kirin King left. Night Sorrow sighed. If the celestial realm was ignited, it would be a terrible situation. While Night Sorrow was thinking, the heavenly concubine came to the tent. Night Sorrow got up and asked the heavenly concubine to sit down. Then, he poured a cup of tea for her. I heard what you said just now, but there are some things I need to tell you. If this is only a crisis in the celestial realm, I won't tell you because it's a threat to the 9 regions world. The heavenly concubine sat down and said. Night Sorrow was stunned. He didn't know what could threaten the 9 regions world because he thought the 9 regions world was very safe. Then, the heavenly concubine told him about the Demon Wings clan's ancestor. The ancestor of the Demon Wings clan fought against the human sovereign in the last reincarnation. Actually, he wasn't defeated by the human sovereign. He was attacked by the God-destroying tribulation. In the end, his spirit sea was destroyed by both the human sovereign and the God-destroying tribulation. However, he didn't die completely. His body was taken back to the Demon Imperial City by the other experts of the Demon Wings clan. His spirit sea was empty, but his soul imprint was still in the reincarnation heavenly halberd. The reincarnation heavenly halberd was in the reincarnation space at the bottom of the Nirvana ocean. The ancestor's soul couldn't return. Last time, when the heavenly concubine took his hair to the reincarnation island, his soul imprint in the reincarnation heavenly halberd went back to the demon imperial city. You're telling me this? Can the ancestor of the Demon Wings clan come back to life? Knight Sorrow's face changed. This was too serious. It's possible. If he comes back to life, the consequences will be severe. His realm is higher than the soul unification realm. He should be a half-step divine emperor. The heavenly concubine said. Yi Shang slapped his forehead. When it rains, it pours. This news was really bad for him. It was like a bolt from the blue. Closing his eyes, Knight Sorrow was thinking. The situation was too bad. Nobody knew how powerful a half-step divine emperor was, or what kind of special abilities they had. Knight Sorrow, I don't know how to solve this problem. I don't care about the celestial realm, but I'm worried about the 9 regions world. The Demon Wings clan's main target is the new sovereign world, which is the 9 regions world. If the ancestor of the Demon Wings clan awakens, the 9 regions world will be in danger. Of course, cultivators who are stronger than you won't be able to enter the 9 regions world, but nobody knows what a half-step divine emperor is capable of. His body has been circulating for many years, and there's no trace of death chi, said the heavenly concubine. I will do my best. Knight Sorrow sighed. The heavenly concubine didn't say anything else. She knew that Knight Sorrow knew what to do. He wouldn't be caught off guard in the future. She didn't tell anyone. Knight Sorrow's attitude was the same as before. If he had to fight, he would fight. He didn't want to cause panic because it was meaningless to tell others. The Demon Imperial City couldn't be broken. If the ancestor of the Demon Wings clan wanted to awaken, nobody would be able to stop him. #forever #free reading novels. After fighting for another half a year, Knight Sorrow's clone commanded the battle. His real body entered the Hao Tian Pagoda to cultivate. He wanted to improve himself through the battles. He wanted to break through the bottleneck as soon as possible. Any bottleneck would do. It would be a great leap in strength. Knight Sorrow's real body didn't fight. The heavenly concubine, Bloodlin King, and Astral King knew that he was cultivating hard. Bottleneck, damn bottleneck. Heavenly Astral King watched as Knight Sorrow's doppelganger battled with the tribulation of 9 Emperor's cultivators and was injured again. He kicked a huge boulder into smithereens. He had been stuck at a bottleneck for a long time, but he couldn't break through. Calm down and settle down. Maybe you will be able to break through. Bloodlin King looked at Knight Sorrow and said to Astral King. He was the same as Astral King. They were both stuck at the bottleneck and hadn't made any progress for many years. Astral King let out a breath. He knew what Bloodlin King said was reasonable. He just felt a little depressed. The younger generation was fighting in front of him, and he could only watch. He felt very uncomfortable. His real body was in seclusion, and his clone was injured. Knight Sorrow ordered the camp to be set up. He wanted to heal and recover. Others didn't know why Knight Sorrow was fighting so hard. He would rather have his clone get injured than fight. The only one who knew was the heavenly concubine. She knew that Knight Sorrow was under a lot of pressure because of her words and the existence of the Demon Wings clan's ancestor. In just a few days, Knight Sorrow's clone came out of seclusion. Everyone noticed that Knight Sorrow's aura had changed a little. It was steady and deep, and it also contained boundless battle intent and killing intent. His robe fluttered without wind. It wasn't energy, but it was caused by his aura and aura. Waving his arm, Knight Sorrow ordered the troops to set off again. The battle still had to continue. After setting up camp again, Heavenly Concubine came to Knight Sorrow's tent. Knight Sorrow, I regret telling you those things and giving you pressure. Some things have to be faced sooner or later. If I know in advance, I can be mentally prepared. Also, I am very grateful to you. Knight Sorrow shook his head at Heavenly Concubine. Knight Sorrow knew that Heavenly Concubine was in a difficult position. She didn't want to harm the Demon Wings clan, but she also wanted to protect the Nine Regions world. It was a difficult choice, but Heavenly Concubine still chose to stand on the Nine Regions world side. There's no need to be so polite between us. I know who you are, and I hope that you know who I am as well. Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow smiled. I know who you are. Also, it's enough that I know you're my friend. In one sentence, I'll make everything clear. Living in the Nine Regions world might be the best choice in my life. Don't worry. No matter who it is, they won't be able to harm the Nine Regions world. Heavenly Concubine said. Night Sorrow took out 2 jars of wine and gave one to Heavenly Concubine. He sighed and said, the world is full of changes. I don't quite understand what you're saying. Heavenly Concubine took a sip of wine and asked Night Sorrow. Have you heard of the saying that if I'm the best commander, then the best strategist is Jun Xuanji? Night Sorrow said. I've heard of it. Is it because of me that Jun Xuanji isn't willing to help you anymore? Heavenly Concubine asked in surprise. Night Sorrow shook his head and said that there was a rift between him and Jun Xuanji. It would be difficult for them to return to how they were before. Heavenly Concubine didn't quite understand. She knew Night Sorrow's character. Night Sorrow wouldn't give up on anyone by his side for no reason. However, she had never heard of Jun Xuanji's misdeeds. There are some things that you don't need to know, but I can tell you that I, Night Sorrow, am an indomitable spirit. I do things with a clear conscience. However, she's not here, but you are. The world is full of changes, and I know your abilities and talent. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 2258. If you're talented, you must have a place to display it. Right now, you're in a dormant state because I'm not strong enough. I need you to stand behind me. It won't be like this in the future. Night Sorrow said. Then what will it be like in the future? Heavenly Concubine raised her head and looked at Night Sorrow. She followed Night Sorrow's words and asked. She also wanted to know what the future would be like. In the future. Let me think. Of course, you'll be all-powerful and dominate the world. In the past, you were very glorious in the Demon Wing clan. However, there was one thing that couldn't be denied. You were suppressed by the 100 races of the celestial realm. You couldn't fight whenever you wanted to. However, Heavenly Concubine of the Nine Regions world won't have that. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said. What you said is very exciting. It's very difficult to live without being suppressed. Heavenly Concubine smiled. It's not difficult. Whoever suppresses us and makes us suppress them, will kick them to death. Night Sorrow didn't hesitate this time and directly expressed his opinion. Others might say that it's bragging, but if you say it's not, then we'll wait for that day. Heavenly Concubine nodded at Night Sorrow. As a cultivator, everyone wanted to do as they pleased. However, it was very difficult to truly do as they pleased. In the world of cultivators, experts were everywhere. If one didn't have any scruples, it was very easy to cause trouble. In the worst case, one would be killed or even die. However, Night Sorrow didn't exist. Firstly, Night Sorrow had a very high reputation in the celestial realm. Secondly, he was the virtuous human emperor. Going against the human emperor? A cultivator who did not have a problem with their mental state would not do such a thing. Another thing was strength. Now that Night Sorrow's original body and avatar were fighting, the tribulation of 9 emperors cultivators couldn't suppress them. When Night Sorrow entered the tribulation of 7 emperors, he would be similar to the divine soul unity realm. Even if he wasn't as strong, he would still have the ability to protect himself. Who would be able to suppress Night Sorrow? Night Sorrow was the realm master of the 9 regions world and Heavenly Concubine was the Heavenly Concubine of the 9 regions world. Their honor and disgrace were one. Yong, I'll have to trouble you for the time being. But if you have any thoughts or opinions, you can tell me. I trust you, Night Sorrow said. Alright, your face is big. No one will object to what you approve. Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said. If Night Sorrow believed her, then no one would doubt her. She had known this for a long time. Is it okay for you to chat like this? You make it sound as if I rely on my face to make a living and travel the world. Yi Shang helplessly smiled after hearing this. Why not? Having a big face was a skill. Without ability and prestige, how could he have any face? Face is an evaluation of one's overall ability. Having a big face is a display of one's status and strength. With just a sentence, you can solve problems without fighting. That's the realm. Heavenly Concubine corrected Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow smiled because what the Heavenly Concubine said made sense. Lord Heavenly Concubine is right. Relying on your face to make a living is the highest realm. Blood Lin King entered Night Sorrow's tent. Blood Lin King is here. Sit. Night Sorrow stood up and cupped his hands. Heavenly Concubine also stood up and cupped her hands with Blood Lin King before sitting down. I'm here to tell young City Lord that there's no need to worry about the spatial tunnel. The Qilin race, the Ice Phoenix race, and the elites of the Humanitarian League have all arrived. We didn't mobilize the people of Sky Desolate City, so there's no need to worry. Blood Lin King said. All right. Although the ancient world group's cultivators might not discover the spatial tunnel, we have to be prepared. Also, we can't hide this from the Demon Wing race. Mo Zhantian and Mo Yutian should know. However, it's hard to say if they'll dare to attack Sky Desolate City. With Tran Hung holding the fort, it's useless even if they come. Their subordinates will be suppressed by the elders and Sky Desolate City's army. Night Sorrow said. He felt that the current arrangement was safe. If the ancestor of the Demon Wing race woke up, it would be a different matter. With the spatial tunnel stabilized, we have nothing to worry about. We can focus on dealing with things here. Blood Lin King explained the situation to Night Sorrow and left. Heavenly Concubine, there are some people in the celestial realm who know about your situation. However, no one looks down on you. My uncle and Tran Hung are very friendly. Night Sorrow looked at Heavenly Concubine and said. It's still the same as before. Their attitude is only good because of your face. As for looking down on me, they won't. I respect and admire Tran Hung and King Yawu. They don't respect and admire me, but at least they won't look down on me. Heavenly Concubine nodded. Experts respected each other. To be able to cultivate to soul unity, they had gone through a lot of hardships. They all needed respect. This was also respect for themselves. Heavenly Concubine chatted with Night Sorrow for a while. Then, she left Night Sorrow's tent. After resting for a night, the team moved forward again. Night Sorrow used the spatial tunnel as the center. He wanted to clear out an empty space. This way, he could do his best to prevent the spatial tunnel from being discovered. The battle was still going on. However, without a high-level Tribulation Emperor, Night Sorrow wouldn't do anything. This was also requested by Heavenly Astral King and Blood Lin King. They were Tribulation 5 Emperors. They also needed to fight under pressure. During the battle, the members of the God-slaying team and the First Army fought very hard. After the battle, Heavenly Concubine would give some pointers to the members of the God-slaying team. It wasn't like this at first. After Heavenly Concubine gave Yi Xiaoluo a few pointers, the members of the God-slaying team would ask some questions. Heavenly Concubine wasn't stingy with the members of the 9-domain world. She would explain the problems she discovered. She was Soul Unity Realm. She had lived for a long time. She was experienced and had sharp eyes. Therefore, she could see everyone's strengths and weaknesses. She could give specific pointers. Slowly, it became a habit. After the battle, the members of the God-slaying team would ask Heavenly Concubine for pointers and comments. Night Sorrow knew that this was a good thing. It was the beginning of Heavenly Concubine's true integration into the 9-domain world. The members of the god-slaying team were the core of the 9-domain world. They were also a group of top cultivators. Just by giving pointers, the interaction between the two sides would be very harmonious. In this situation, the members of the first army weren't happy. They also came to find Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was a bit conflicted. However, he couldn't say this to Heavenly Concubine. He knew that Heavenly Concubine's attitude towards the members of the celestial realm was different from the members of the 9-domain world. As if she knew Night Sorrow's difficulties, Heavenly Concubine didn't say anything to Night Sorrow. Heavenly Concubine would also tell a bit about the first army situation. However, there was still special treatment. Heavenly Concubine didn't hesitate to teach some battle techniques to the members of the god-slaying team. However, she only gave pointers to the members of the first army. This situation made Night Sorrow realize that it wasn't easy. Blood Lin King and Heavenly Astral King expressed their gratitude to Heavenly Concubine. The members of the first army didn't know about this, but the two of them did. They knew that this situation was already very rare. Chapter 2259. How? My original body and doppelganger are both here. My 9-domain doppelganger cannot leave the 9-domain world. Asked the young world tree. She is still in a daze. She doesn't know anything. Night Sorrow said with a smile. That's true. Are you in a hurry? Heavenly Concubine asked Night Sorrow. No hurry. I can cultivate a lot of things now. I haven't reached the point where I can't improve. Don't make things difficult for yourself. Everything is fine now, Night Sorrow said to Heavenly Concubine. Heavenly Concubine nodded. She noticed that Night Sorrow's body was constantly improving. She knew that Night Sorrow's original body was constantly improving. Ever since Heavenly Concubine told Night Sorrow about the Demon Wing clan's ancestor, Night Sorrow had been using his doppelganger to lead the team. His original body stayed in the space with the soul-nurturing grass. While strengthening his soul, he continued to cultivate the limitless body-tempering art. His body's cultivation had been steadily improving. As his original body improved, his doppelganger naturally improved as well. In addition, Night Sorrow's defensive technique, Space-Time Realm, had also improved. In the past, when Night Sorrow used Space-Time Realm, he used space-time energy to protect his body. Now, he used primordial energy to protect his body. His defense was much stronger than before. Moreover, it was much smoother when he used it. This was the result of the 9-domain doppelganger's closed-door cultivation. Different techniques required different types of energy to be used. Space-type techniques were most compatible with space-time energy. Using other types of energy was great, but it was easy to not be compatible. If it wasn't compatible, it couldn't be used at all. The increase in Space-Time Realm's power allowed Night Sorrow to have more defensive methods. Night Sorrow and his subordinates used close to 3 years to clear a large area near the entrance of the Celestial Realm and the Ancient World. Using 3 years to clear out an area that was absolutely safe, Night Sorrow was quite satisfied. Knowing that his subordinates were working hard, Night Sorrow brought them out of the Ancient World group and to the outer area of the spatial tunnel. You have half a year to rest and recuperate. Gather here after half a year, Night Sorrow ordered. As an experienced cultivator, Night Sorrow knew that one had to have a balance between tension and relaxation when cultivating. Being tense all the time would allow one to improve quickly, but it would be detrimental to one's state of mind. He dismissed the troops and asked Lin Piaomiao to bring the Heavenly Concubine, his wives, and Yi Xiaoluo to the Night Moon Villa to rest. He communicated with King Yawu about the current situation. Your method can guarantee that there will be no war in the celestial realm for a short period of time, but that is not necessarily the case. This is an era of gods and demons. Some things that should and should not happen will happen. This is the end of the era, King Yawu said. After pondering for a while, Night Sorrow set up a barrier and told him about the information the Heavenly Concubine told him about the Demon Wing clan's progenitor. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, King Yawu was silent. After a while, he looked at Night Sorrow. The possibility is very high. According to the heavenly concubine's level and personality, if the probability was low, she would not have told you at all. It would not have affected your state of mind. Since she has told you, then the danger is very big. I will inform Tran Hung later. Don't let others know. Not only will it be useless, but it will also cause panic. I understand. Currently, only I and Uncle Master know. Night Sorrow nodded. Yes, you have already arranged some things very well. Seeing you grow up, Uncle Master is very pleased. This is nothing. If that guy comes, Uncle Master and Tran Hung will take care of him. Uncle Master may not be able to, but Tran Hung should be able to do it with the help of Tianhuang City, King Yawu said. Night Sorrow nodded. Then I will go home and take a look. Go. Go home and take a look. You don't know how many people are jealous of you, King Yawu said with a smile. Going home to take a look was an extravagant hope for many cultivators. Without family, home was no longer home. Cultivators were lonely. There were almost no cultivators like Night Sorrow in the celestial realm. In Night Moon Villa, there were some members of the god-slaying team. Both Sandalwood and E were there. Sandalwood was a member of the god-slaying team, and E often spent time with Night Sorrow's wife. Let's go and pay a visit to Master, Night Sorrow said to Sandalwood. 8 Oh Zheng, First Edition CS, haha. I have been waiting for you here, Sandalwood said with a smile. In Night Moon City, Night Sorrow and Sandalwood paid a visit to Master Qing Emperor and Master's wife Misty Rain. I am very happy that the two of you have achieved great things. I have lived for a long time, but the past 1,000 years have been the happiest and most worrying days. I am happy that Master's wife has returned. Sandalwood, I am happy that you have recovered and achieved great things. Night Sorrow, I am even happier that you have achieved great things. It is just that I have been very worried for the past 700 years. I am sorry for making you worry, Master. Night Sorrow stood up and cupped his hands towards Qing Emperor. Sit down. You have not done anyone wrong. Do not say such things in the future, Misty Rain said. I will remember Master's wife's words. Night Sorrow nodded towards Misty Rain. A disciple is half a son. You and Sandalwood are both great. You are much better than the other children of your master and I, Sandalwood. Master's wife was biased against you in the past. Please do not take it to heart. Misty Rain looked at Sandalwood and Night Sorrow. Master's wife is too serious. I have never thought of it that way. Sandalwood stood up and bowed towards Qing Emperor and Misty Rain. You too. We all know Sandalwood's character. No one will care about those things. Do not mention it in the future. Qing Emperor looked at his wife and said. All right. Night Sorrow, Master's wife wanted you to be her son-in-law. However, you are not fated to be with Qing Wan. There is no other way. Misty Rain changed the topic. Master's wife is right. It depends on fate. By the way, how is senior brother? Was he affected by that incident? Night Sorrow asked about Qing Lin. Mo Shaolin had plotted against him. Night Sorrow was worried that Qing Lin would be hurt. A little. Fortunately, it was not serious. He knew that Mo Shaolin was scheming and using him from the beginning. She was not worthy of his love. Give him some time and he will get over it. Qing Emperor said. After chatting for a while, they agreed to have dinner together. Night Sorrow went to the back of Xingyue City because the World Tree was there. At this time, the entire Xingyue Island was covered by the World Tree. The tree crown extended in all directions and covered the sky above Xingyue Lake. When Night Sorrow arrived, the tree spirit appeared. Are there any drawbacks to settling down here? Do you need me to solve anything? Night Sorrow looked at the tree spirit and asked. There is no need. The environment here is much better than the original world. My roots can reach into the ground and enter the void. I can absorb a lot of energy. I can even extend my original lifespan. The damage caused by moving will also slowly disappear. Tree Spirit said. Chapter 2260. Cultivators below the high-level Emperor Tribulation shouldn't be able to harm the main body. As for those above the high-level Emperor Tribulation, the main body wouldn't be able to withstand it. Because I don't want to cause a calamity or start a war that shouldn't happen, I didn't touch the Thousand Realms whirling defense when I left. Instead, I sent them into the vast void to fend for themselves, the Tree Spirit said. Night Sorrow nodded. He understood that the Tree Spirit didn't bring its Thousand Realms whirling defense with it. There were both pros and cons. If the Tree Spirit brought its Thousand Realms whirling defense with it, it would cause great damage to the original Thousand Realms whirling defense. If the Thousand Realms whirling defense entered the Celestial Realm, it would cause a huge impact to the Celestial Realm. It would cause a chain reaction. The disadvantage of not bringing the Thousand Realms whirling defense was that the World Tree's defense would be weakened. How long do you think it will take for the Tree Spirit's defense to form? How do I cooperate? Night Sorrow asked. The Thousand Realms whirling defense is impossible. The main body will set up a Sumeru world near the main body and pay close attention to the situation inside. If a high-level life form invades, the main body will notify you to clean it up. If this branch lights up and vibrates with energy, you can come over, the Tree Spirit said as a branch appeared in its hand. Okay. By the way, does Senior not have a companion guardian? Night Sorrow asked. Yes, when the main body was transcending the tribulation, she turned into energy and entered my body. She interfered with the tribulation lightning. The main body survived, but she died, the Tree Spirit shook its head. After listening to the Tree Spirit's explanation, Night Sorrow understood why he didn't see the World Tree's companion last time. It was because the Tree Spirit's guardian had died. Then, the Tree Spirit told Night Sorrow that the World Tree in the Nine Realms world had to be protected. Because of karma, the Tree of Life would no longer have a companion. Therefore, her safety had to be taken care of. Don't worry, Venerable Tree. She is very safe in the Nine Regions world. She has the World Origin body to take care of her. My battle avatar is also there, said Night Sorrow. The Tree Spirit said, You're very young, and you're the most talented cultivator I've seen in so many years. I'll sort out some of the cultivation inheritances from the Origin realm and give them to you when the time comes. Thank you, Tree. Do you have a Thousand Realms defensive body? Night Sorrow asked with a smile. The Tree Spirit nodded. Of course. Your attributes are indeed suitable for the Thousand Worlds defensive body. Come and get it in 2 days. Thank you, Supreme Tree. Night Sorrow bowed to the Tree Spirit. You don't have to be so polite. You have the potential to become immortal, so you have to work hard. If you can survive that tribulation, you will be able to bring blessings to the Celestial Realm and the Nine Realms. My daughter and I will also be blessed by you, said the Tree Spirit. Night Sorrow nodded. Then, he chatted casually with the Tree Spirit and left. During dinner, the Qing Emperor asked Night Sorrow about the protection of the World Tree. Master, you don't have to worry about this. Just pay attention to the defense of Star Moon City. The World Tree has its own way of protecting itself, Night Sorrow said to the Qing Emperor. The Qing Emperor nodded. Although he couldn't see through it, he knew that the World Tree was of a very high level. Night Sorrow stayed in Star Moon City for a few days. Then, he was summoned by the World Tree and went to the area where the World Tree was located. He even passed through a Sumeru space. However, the Sumeru space wasn't very big. It had just been created. Version 28, why the Tree Spirit appeared and handed Night Sorrow a few pieces of wood. They were all cultivation inheritances. Thank you, Lord Tree Spirit, for what you have done for the Celestial Realm and the Nine-Domain world. Night Sorrow bowed to the forest. You're wrong. These are for you. If others want to cultivate it, they have to see if it's suitable for them. Take the Thousand Realms defensive body for example. If you give it to others, they won't be able to learn it. Instead, they will know your trump card, the tree spirit said. Knight Sorrow nodded. Inheritances were no small matter. They could raise the cultivation level of a world. Just like the myriad Tao treasured tome, if there were many people who could cultivate it, it would be a sect. Knight Sorrow left Star Moon City and returned to the 9-domain world. He passed the inheritances to the 9-domain clones. His original body would know about the inheritances if the 9-domain clones studied them. It was safe to leave them in the 9-domain world. There was no risk of losing them. Even if his original body and battle clones died, the inheritances wouldn't be affected. After arranging the inheritances, Knight Sorrow returned to the Night Moon Villa in the Ethereal Dynasty. Then, he thought about the problem. The human heart wasn't what it used to be. He wouldn't give away the inheritances casually. As for establishing a sect, Knight Sorrow didn't think about it. He didn't have the energy or ambition to do so. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow decided to put this matter aside for the time being. He would study the Thousand Realms defensive body first. After some research, Knight Sorrow found that the Thousand Realms defensive body wasn't something that could be cultivated in a short time. Therefore, he passed it to the 9-domain clones to study. Knight Sorrow's original body cultivated while his clones accompanied his family. After cultivating at home for a few days, Knight Sorrow went to Tianhuang City and saw Tran Hung in front of the 9-dragon heaven and earth cauldron. After bringing Knight Sorrow into the 9-dragon heaven and earth cauldron, Tran Hung poured a cup of tea for Knight Sorrow and said, "You did well this time. You managed to buy some time for the celestial realm." Knight Sorrow shook his head and said, "Treating the symptoms but not the root cause. It will be a problem after a long time." Tran Hung said, "We can't rush these things. Once the world tree arrives, the celestial realm won't be destroyed. If there's a war, we can deal with it. No matter how strong the ancestor of the Demon Wing clan is, he's still below the God Emperor realm. There's nothing that we can't deal with. If this seat isn't a match for him, then we'll talk about other things." Knight Sorrow nodded. He knew that Tran Hung was very strong. As the #1 expert of the Celestial Realm's 100 clans, he had fought in foreign worlds all year round. He had met all kinds of experts, but defeat was proof of strength. After talking for a while, Knight Sorrow left. He didn't need to worry about the matters in Tianhuang City. Seeing Knight Sorrow enter the teleportation array, Tran Hung nodded. He knew that Knight Sorrow could handle some things. He had seen Knight Sorrow's progress. After leaving Tianhuang City, Knight Sorrow went to the entrance of the Ancient World Group. He took out the Clear Sky Pagoda and went in to cultivate. Cultivating here made him feel at ease. If anything happened, he would be able to know immediately. Seeing Knight Sorrow enter seclusion immediately after arriving, King Yowu shook his head. He knew that Knight Sorrow was anxious and stressed. However, he didn't know how to persuade him. Time passed slowly. The members of the God-slaying team and the First Army slowly returned. They were waiting for the second operation. Knight Sorrow didn't come out of seclusion. His original body was cultivating, while his battle clones and 9-domain clones were studying the 1,000 Worlds defensive body. If one wanted to beat someone, one had to learn how to take a beating. Only with a strong defense would one have the confidence to fight. Only with a strong defense would one have the qualifications to fight. In the past, Knight Sorrow relied on his strong body to fight those of a higher level. Now, he was easily injured because his defense wasn't strong enough. Knight Sorrow's 2 clones were studying the 1,000 Worlds defensive body to strengthen his defense and increase his confidence in fighting. Chapter 2261. Everyone had arrived. Knight Sorrow's battle doppelganger appeared and gave the order to get ready. They would set off in a day. After giving the order, Knight Sorrow sat opposite King Yowu. He set up the tea table and made a pot of tea. "Knight Sorrow, you're going to battle again." "I don't know what to say," King Yowu said. Senior uncle, I've already set a goal this time. It's to consolidate the area we've occupied. We have to ensure the safety of the area around the spatial tunnel. We can't be discovered by the ancient world's cultivators, Knight Sorrow explained his plan. Okay, we've also strengthened the arrangement of spies and scouts. As long as there are cultivators from the ancient world group, we'll get the news. Patriarch Lin will inform you when the time comes, said King Yawu. Knight Sorrow led the team and Lin Piaomiao's doppelganger followed. She stayed at the space tunnel and was responsible for communication between the two sides. Then it's settled. Uncle, make arrangements to strengthen the security of the Misty Dynasty. The safety of the World Tree is still important. It's better to be safe than sorry. It's necessary to seal it off, Knight Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Okay. I'll send a part of the fairies' capital army over right away. King Yawu nodded. Fairies' capital was one of the two cities of the celestial realm. It was the most civilized city. Although it was not as good as Tianhuang's city in terms of defense, its army was still very strong and could easily crush any force. After everything was arranged, Knight Sorrow led the team into the ancient world group and started the second battle. Knight Sorrow led the team to check the areas that had been cleared before to see if there were any new cultivators entering. During the check, Knight Sorrow met the scouts of the Tianhuang army. The scouts reported the situation to Knight Sorrow. While they were advancing, Knight Sorrow was also perfecting the map. He divided the area near the entrance into 100 regions and then communicated with Lin Piaomiao. Lin Piaomiao's main body wrote the map and then arranged the deployment. Every region had to be defended and there had to be scouts. This workload was relatively large, and it took Yishan and his men a year to complete it. In other words, the Heaven Wasteland Army scouts were stationed in the area where the spatial passageways were located, including the small ancient worlds next to the spatial passageways. After the defensive arrangements were made, Knight Sorrow led his men deeper into the forest and expanded the safe zone. After entering a new area, the number of cultivators in the ancient world group had increased. Naturally, there would be constant battles. The morale of the god-slaying team and the warriors of the first command was high. Even if they encountered opponents with higher cultivation than them, they would still be able to surround and kill them. They had cultivated the combined attack array, so their ability to fight in groups was strong. It was not difficult for them to fight against opponents with higher cultivation levels. Of course, there was a limit to this. When a cultivator whose cultivation was much higher than theirs appeared, Lin Piaomiao, Blood Lin King, and Heavenly Astral King had to fight. Knight Sorrow would sometimes say a few words to summarize the battle. Knight Sorrow's first battle happened a month after they opened up the new map. He encountered an ancient cultivator with Tribulation 9 Emperor's cultivation. This time, the battle was extremely intense because Yi Shang refused to retreat. He continued to fight to the death with his opponent. The two of them fought from the sky to the ground, and then from the ground to the sky. Watching Knight Sorrow's battle, Mo Tianji murmured, "Thousand Realms Defense. It seems that he has cultivated it." Heavenly Concubine discovered that when the ancient cultivator's attack reached Knight Sorrow, part of it would ripple and then disappear. The remaining part would hit Knight Sorrow, and part of it would be offset by the virtuous Virtue Dao body. The remaining part would not be able to do anything to Knight Sorrow. "What's the Thousand Realms Defense?" Lin Piaomiao asked. "It's the defensive technique of the World Tree. Outside the World Tree, there are 1,000 Sumeru spatial worlds. Outside this range, it's impossible to attack the World Tree. There's a hazy energy outside Knight Sorrow's body. That's the embryonic form of space. Although it's not real space, it can block and contain the energy of the opponent's attack," the Heavenly Concubine said. She felt that there was no need to hide it from others. "Then, did you and Auntie Fei get any benefits?" Lin Piaomiao asked with a smile. "The World Tree recognizes Knight Sorrow. However, it said that it's fate that we met her. She gave us each a world origin branch. It should be a material that can be used to forge weapons." Heavenly Concubine said as she took out a branch. There was only one leaf on it, but the leaf was green and filled with origin energy and vitality. This is also a great harvest, Lin Piao Miao said with a smile. Yes, this is an absolute treasure. It's good for cultivation. Take it. Heavenly Concubine pushed the branch to Lin Piao Miao. No. I don't need it. Lin Piao Miao took a step back and waved her hand. She knew that it wasn't easy to get this branch. Heavenly Concubine and Night Sorrow had risked their lives to get it. All right then. You're Night Sorrow's wife. The world tree has settled down in the 9 regions world. You can go to the Heaven's Ceiling Palace to cultivate. Let's watch the battle first. Heavenly Concubine didn't force Lin Piao Miao. Night Sorrow and the ancient cultivator continued to fight violently. Neither side could suppress the other. Night Sorrow's defense could block a portion of the attacks, but his chi cultivation was low. Even if his body's strength was lower than the ancient cultivator's, he couldn't deal much damage to the ancient cultivator. A battle of attrition, the ancient cultivator lost. After watching for a while, Heavenly Concubine made a judgment. When both sides couldn't do anything to the other, it was a battle of attrition. In a battle of attrition, Night Sorrow had the leakless true body. Aside from the necessary consumption, he didn't lose any energy. He had an absolute advantage. The battle lasted for an entire day. When the ancient cultivator was exhausted, Night Sorrow's power of virtue exploded. He used the human emperor's seal to suppress the ancient cultivator. Then, he used all his skills to kill the ancient cultivator. However, in the final stage, the ancient cultivator attacked with all his strength. This attack broke through Night Sorrow's protective energy. The embryonic space defense was also broken. There was a hole in the ancient cultivator's chest. Very good. This is a milestone for the young city lord. He killed the ancient cultivator with just a clone. Blood Kirin King was very excited. I still got hit by the ancient cultivator. Night Sorrow touched the blood on his chest and said, if you only wanted to win the battle, you wouldn't be injured. If you weren't anxious, you wouldn't be injured. You were just a little impatient. Heavenly Concubine said. Night Sorrow nodded. He stopped the ancient cultivator from escaping. The ancient cultivator was desperate and used a suicidal attack. That was why he was injured. After that, Night Sorrow entered the Clear Sky Pagoda to heal himself. A 6 Emperor Tribulation cultivator killed a 9 Emperor Tribulation cultivator. Heavenly Astral Monarch still couldn't accept the situation. Yes. From the beginning to the end, Night Sorrow dominated the battle. If the ancient cultivator ran at the beginning, Night Sorrow might not have been able to kill him. However, he wasn't afraid of Night Sorrow in the beginning. Heavenly Concubine said. Chapter 2262. Now that we have a grudge, we have to solve it. If he runs away, this karma will be troublesome in the future, Blood Lin King said. Heavenly Concubine nodded. She knew this, but there was something she didn't say. Night Sorrow fought to the death to force her to improve herself. After getting injured, Night Sorrow entered the Hao Tian Pagoda and used the Wuji body tempering art to heal his body. If a normal mid-level Emperor's Tribulation cultivator was killed by a high-level Emperor's Tribulation cultivator, the consequences would be serious. Their body might be destroyed or their foundation might be damaged. However, Night Sorrow's body was strong. It was not weaker than a 9 Emperor's Tribulation cultivator. So, he was injured. There were no other problems. A few days later, Night Sorrow came out of seclusion. This battle only left him with the essence of understanding. There was nothing else. There was not even a scar. Night Sorrow came out of seclusion and made a pot of tea. He called Heavenly Concubine, Blood Lin King, Heavenly Astral King, and Lin Piaomiao over to discuss the next plan. They wanted to see if there were any good ideas or suggestions. Under the circumstances of ensuring our safety, this is the right way to clean up. But young city lord, we can't fight like this. If something happens, we will lose no matter how great the battle results are, Heavenly Astral King said. He was scared now. He was afraid that something would happen to Night Sorrow. Yes, young city lord, you are the foundation of the celestial realm's 100 races and the 9 regions world. If something happens to you, we will lose no matter how great the battle results are, Blood Lin King said. I understand your worries, but don't worry. My original body hasn't moved because I feel confident. Also, if there is a problem, Heavenly Concubine will help, Night Sorrow said. But you have to be careful. If something unexpected happens, even if I want to save you, it's not too late. Heavenly Concubine shook her head. In fact, when Night Sorrow was injured, she didn't have time to stop it. She didn't expect Night Sorrow to risk his life. Even if Night Sorrow moved away, she wouldn't let that guy escape. I'll be careful. Night Sorrow nodded. The cleanup operation was still in progress. Zhuodong was leading the First Army, while Long Jin was leading the God-slaying squad. Most of the time, Yishan was thinking. A satisfying battle would be of great help to his cultivation. 2 months later, the Blood Lin King returned. He found a bottleneck to break through and wanted to go back into seclusion to cultivate. However, the Golden Dragon King came to replace him. Young City Master, it's good to follow you. We've all been stuck at a bottleneck for a long time. Blood Lin King came out twice and then went back to break through. The Golden Dragon King was in high spirits. In the celestial realm, the 3 leaders had the highest cultivation, followed by the leaders of the mythical beast clans. However, they were all stuck at a bottleneck and couldn't break through. Night Sorrow went to the Blood Lin Mountain once and the Blood Lin King fought with the black dragons. After settling down, he broke through. When Night Sorrow was sleeping, he worked hard to reach the next bottleneck and found another opportunity to break through. That's because the Blood Lin King has a strong foundation, Night Sorrow said with a smile. It's related to luck. Those who have a body of merit will have luck. Besides, young city master, you don't just have a body of merit, Heavenly Astral King said. Then I hope everyone can break through. However, the battle must continue, Night Sorrow said. He didn't ask about the Blood Lin King's situation, but he knew the Blood Lin King wasn't as strong as he was now. Back then, the Blood Lin King's clone was on par with the Black Dragons and Long Zhe. At most, he was a little stronger. Of course, he had to control the formation and save Lin Yu. However, the difference was huge. The team continued to move forward and continued to clear out the practitioners in the ancient world group. The Golden Dragon King was crazier than the Blood Lin King and Heavenly Astral King. When there was a battle, he pulled his nephew Long Jin and fought fiercely. He didn't care about the danger at all. This gave Night Sorrow a headache. He told the Heavenly Concubine to support him at critical times. The Heavenly Concubine nodded. She knew what Night Sorrow didn't want to see the people around him in trouble. Night Sorrow had sacrificed a lot over the years, but he had achieved the feat of not losing anyone around him. In fact, it wasn't just the Golden Dragon King who fought crazily. The God-slaying team and the First Army were the same. After another battle started, Night Sorrow and the Heavenly Concubine watched from the side. Neither of them made a move. The Heavenly Concubine shook her head and said, "You're full of energy. Not to mention that the combat power of your subordinates exceeds their cultivation level. This aura. Their cultivation is clearly inferior to their opponents, but they chase after them and kill them. It's as if their cultivation has reached a level where they can crush their opponents. Sometimes, if you think you can do it, then you can really do it. If you don't have the courage, what you can do, you might not be able to do it," Night Sorrow said. The Heavenly Concubine nodded. She knew this was faith. If one's faith was firm, then there would be motivation to move forward. Poor, really poor. When cleaning up the battlefield, the Golden Dragon King was very dissatisfied. The ancient world group is lacking in resources. Their high cultivation level is completely dependent on absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to cultivate. There are almost no supplementary resources. Even if there are, they have to be plundered from other worlds, Night Sorrow said. Without resources, they can only rely on absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to cultivate. Plus, the spiritual energy here is not dense. Their achievements are dependent on a large amount of time, the heavenly astral king said. This is also the reason why they are running around everywhere. It's to find worlds to plunder. The thought of growing by plundering is already in their bones, the heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said. While everyone was reorganizing, Night Sorrow stood outside the camp and thought. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow was once again certain that the celestial realm's 100 races and the ancient world group's cultivators could not coexist. There was no possibility of that at all. When the ancient world group's cultivators appeared, they had no intention of plundering. They directly started killing. If their goal was to plunder, then it could be said that it was a problem of quality. However, they came out to kill directly. This was a problem of nature. Night Sorrow communicated his thoughts to the heavenly concubine and Lin Piao. Their thoughts were the same as Night Sorrow's. This is a habit. It's a habit of the past that has fixed their way of life. This is something that cannot be changed. Don't think about it, the heavenly concubine said. I understand too. However, we don't know how many ancient worlds this ancient world group contains. How many supreme worlds were formed after the destruction of the ancient world group? We didn't find out the foundation. Night Sorrow shook his head. Let's take it slow. They have other organizations and other forms of alliances. We won't be in danger and it won't be difficult to clean them up, Lin Piao said. The situation isn't as simple as we think. The cultivators we encountered were all small groups in the form of tribes and small factions. On the other hand, it's not impossible for there to be large sects and cities. Night Sorrow expressed his worries. Chapter 2263. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the heavenly concubine and Lin Piao's expressions changed. If what Night Sorrow said really happened, they would be in big trouble and they would not be able to win. The cultivators of the ancient world group were different from the 100 races of the celestial realm. The situation of the cultivators of the ancient world group was small. There were many middle-level cultivators. If the 100 races of the celestial realm fought as a group, they would not be a match for the ancient world group. The heavenly concubine could defeat a soul-uniting realm cultivator and even kill him if she teamed up with Night Sorrow. But what if 2 soul-uniting realm cultivators appeared? The situation would take a turn for the worse. Then what should we do? Lin Piao was a little worried. If they really appear, then we'll have to think about it carefully. Night Sorrow shook his head and returned to the camp. At the same time, he told the scouts to be extremely careful. Divine Capital, Humanitarian League Headquarters. Zhu Jiuyun was wearing a battle suit and sitting opposite Jun Xuanji. Zhu Jiuyun was bidding farewell to Jun Xuanji. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios, that's right. The 9 Regions World Group has already gone to war. You can't stay here forever. She once said that if he was the best commander, then I would be the best strategist. But now that there's a war, she won't inform me, Jun Xuanji said after drinking a mouthful of wine. Xuanji, you're a smart person. Haven't you thought about some problems? Since you don't want to think about it, then I'll say it for you. Night Sorrow respects his wives very much. They have a great relationship. When you forced yourself on him, he would feel that it was a betrayal to his family and his wives. How could he not feel disgusted? That was also a scheme. You used your friend's feelings to scheme. Isn't that a betrayal? Zhu Jiuyun looked at the depressed Jun Xuanji and said. Betrayal. Continue. Jun Xuanji looked at Zhu Jiuyun and gradually sat up straight. We brothers and sisters from the 9 regions world have always respected each other. Who has schemed against each other? You're the first one. You're smart and capable. If you're capable, then continue to fall. Zhu Jiuyun swept the wine jar in front of Jun Xuanji to the ground. Jun Xuanji lowered his head and did not say anything. If it were you, and you slept with a man without feelings, how would you feel? You'll go crazy, you'll kill people, and you'll even commit suicide. Don't tell me there's a difference between men and women. The truth is the truth. She came to look for you after the incident, but you acted as if it didn't matter. Your attitude was that you only slept with her once, that's all. What's the point of complaining now? Zhu Jiuyun was a little agitated. She slammed the table because she knew that Jun Xuanji had made a terrible mistake. But I'm a member of the 9 Domains world. How can you not inform me when there's a battle? Jun Xuanji stood up. If you don't participate in the war, do you want others to beg you? Don't you know how busy Yishang is and how many things he has to deal with? Jun Xuanji, when did you start to change? Zhu Jiuyun shook his head. Let me calm down first. Jun Xuanji sat down again. Zhu Jiuyun's words were like a bolt from the blue to him, overturning many of his beliefs. Zhu Jiuyun also sat down. She did not want to say such harsh words to Jun Xuanji, but it had reached a point where she had to say it. Jun Xuanji did nothing but drink every day. He had completely lost his ideals and fighting spirit. Night Sorrow has never given up on any of his brothers and sisters. It's not his fault that there's a gap between you and him. From the moment you schemed against him, you violated the invisible oath of the 9 Domains world. You're wrong. Also, I'm not afraid of hurting your self-esteem. You can be the chief of the Humanitarian League, and so can others. This is not your right to put on airs. You can't be arrogant. At the end, Zhu Jiuyun sighed. There were some things that she did not want to say. She had been accompanying Jun Xuanji, hoping that he would understand some things on his own. Haha. Good scolding. Jiuyun, what do you think I should do? Can we go back to how we were before? Jun Xuanji looked at Zhu Jiuyun with a bitter smile. I don't know if we can go back to how we were before, but I know that Night Sorrow needs help now. So, I plan to go, even if it's just a little bit of combat strength. I just want to tell him that no matter when, the people of the 9 Domains world are willing to fight with him. And he needs a strategist to help him deal with some things. Also, I need to apologize to you and him. I supported you in scheming against him back then. I did want the best for you, but things didn't go as I wished. It proved that I was wrong, Zhu Jiuyun said. Don't go by yourself first. I'll think about it and see how to deal with it. You still chose to side with Night Sorrow. Jun Xuanji shook his head. I didn't choose to side with you. You were the one who wanted to leave the team of our 9 Domains world brothers and sisters. Now, you should return to the team. Zhu Jiuyun left after speaking. Today, she risked damaging her relationship with Jun Xuanji, hoping that he would wake up. She knew that if Jun Xuanji did not participate in this external battle, then even if he wanted to participate in the future, he would not have a suitable position. That position was the best strategist beside Night Sorrow. In the ancient world, Night Sorrow and the others encountered their first obstacle. They encountered a large city. Night Sorrow helped Tianyu kill the scouts that were chasing after them. That was why the other party did not discover them. This was the first obstacle that Night Sorrow and the others encountered. Heavenly Concubine had sensed that there were 2 Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivators in the city. There were also a few 9 Emperor's Tribulation cultivators. Their high-end strength was comparable to that of the Celestial Realm. How do we play? After hearing Heavenly Concubine's words, the Golden Dragon King's face fell. Yeah. How do we play? Night Sorrow also had a headache. We can slowly think of a way to deal with this in the dark. Moreover, we must have a backup plan. Once we appear in the open, they will know that we are outsiders. They will definitely track us down and dig out the world we belong to, Heavenly Astral Monarch said. Night Sorrow nodded. This was the truth. If the cultivators in the ancient world discovered a cultivator with a strong life origin aura, they would definitely track him down. This would be a problem for the Celestial Realm. If the cultivators in the ancient world kept searching and looking for clues, it would only be a matter of time before they found the spatial tunnel. Let's retreat and set up camp before thinking of a solution. Night Sorrow waved his hand and gave the order. He did not dare to act rashly now. The consequences were too serious. When they reached the safe zone, Night Sorrow gave the order to set up camp. At the same time, he let everyone feel Heavenly Concubine's soul power. In a dangerous situation, no one could resist the pull of Heavenly Concubine's soul power. With Heavenly Concubine, who was in the Divine Soul Unity realm, leading everyone to retreat, it was absolutely safe. In the command tent, Night Sorrow paced back and forth as he pondered. However, he realized that this was a dead end. The other party had 2 Divine Soul Unity realm experts. Sneak attacks, luring, and other strategies were not easy to execute. If he and Heavenly Concubine did not work together, Heavenly Concubine would not be able to kill an opponent of the same level. It should be very difficult to do so. Moreover, it was hard to say how strong the other party was. Chapter 2264. Translator, Exodus Tales Editor, Exodus Tales. Without a solution, Night Sorrow was worried. He wasn't afraid of any risks, but this wasn't his problem alone. He had to be responsible for his brothers and sisters, as well as the celestial realm's 100 races and the 9-domain world. So, he didn't dare to make any rash decisions. While Night Sorrow was thinking, Lin Piao entered Night Sorrow's tent. Sister Xian, you're here. Night Sorrow nodded at Lin Piao and held her hand as the two sat down. No matter what difficulties they faced, Night Sorrow could feel the warmth and care of his family. What are you worried about? Take it slow. Also, I came to tell you that Jun Xuanji and Zhu Jiuyun are here. They're at the entrance of the spatial passage. They're here to participate in the battle. They don't want to be absent from the 9-domain world's battle, Lin Piao said. Jun Xuanji is here. Bring her to 9-domain city to see my 9-domain clone. I have some things to discuss with her. Night Sorrow nodded at Lin Piao. Now that Jun Xuanji was here, he was quite happy. No matter what happened in the past, Night Sorrow didn't want Jun Xuanji to get further away from him and the god-slaying team. Also, he wanted to talk to Jun Xuanji because he would be spending time with the Heavenly Concubine. Night Sorrow also had to talk to the Heavenly Concubine. Following Night Sorrow's instructions, Lin Piao's original body brought Jun Xuanji to the 9-domain world. Night Sorrow called the Heavenly Concubine into the tent. Why did you call me here? After entering the tent, the Heavenly Concubine poured herself a cup of water from a teapot. There is something. I want to know what you think of Jun Xuanji. Don't hide anything. Just tell me, Night Sorrow said after inviting the Heavenly Concubine to sit. Why are you asking this? Actually, it's nothing much. I've severed the karma of the past. She's her and I'm me. Although it's despicable that she's been trying to turn the tables and suppress me, considering that you're in a difficult position, I won't say anything, said Heavenly Concubine. Phew. How magnanimous. She's still young, so don't hold it against her. I apologize on her behalf for what happened in the past. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards the Heavenly Concubine. What are you doing? I won't make things difficult for her as long as she doesn't find trouble with me. The Heavenly Concubine smiled and said. After severing the karma, she no longer cared about the past. She knew that if she did, it would only make things difficult for Night Sorrow. Lin Piao returned after sending Jun Xuanji to the 9-domains world. Night Sorrow's 9-domains clone brought Jun Xuanji into the heaven-sealing Great Hall. It's been a long time since we last met. How have you been? Night Sorrow asked Jun Xuanji to sit down. Still the same. However, you're too much. Why didn't you inform me when there was a battle? Jun Xuanji said. I know that you're not busy and would come if you had time. Aren't you here now? Night Sorrow said with a smile. Night Sorrow, it's my fault that we've grown distant. However, you can't treat me coldly. Jun Xuanji returned to the main topic. How could that be? I've been too busy and couldn't care about anything else. Are you prepared to fight now? Night Sorrow said. Of course I'm prepared. Don't you lack a strategist? Jun Xuanji asked Night Sorrow. I do. Recently, I've been having a headache. However, there are some things that I need to talk to you about. It's about the heavenly concubine. Night Sorrow looked at Jun Xuanji and told him the main reason why he had called Jun Xuanji over. I know about the heavenly concubine. She's the guardian of the 9 domains world. She's fought for the 9 domains world several times and solved many problems. Her status is very high. In terms of status, other than you, the Realm Lord, no one else can compare to her. If you respect her, then I naturally can't look at her differently. I don't have the qualifications to do so. Jun Xuanji actually knew why Night Sorrow had called her over. She also knew that this was one of the reasons why Night Sorrow hadn't called her back to the team. Don't think too much. I've also talked to her. There's no problem. If you feel that it's awkward to communicate with her, then don't interact with her. Don't create unnecessary trouble. Night Sorrow said. Okay, I'll do that. Also, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have played tricks and trampled on your dignity, Jun Xuanji said. Zhu Jillian's words made her understand some things. Everyone had their own dignity and pride. Her actions last time weren't appropriate. She lacked respect for Night Sorrow. Let's not talk about this anymore. Go to the spatial passageway and have someone send you to the ancient world to meet up with us. There are some things that I need to discuss with someone. Be careful on the way. Night Sorrow said and sent Jun Xuanji out of the Heaven-Sealing Great Hall. Be careful. After leaving the Heaven-Sealing Great Hall, Jun Xuanji's mind was still filled with these words. She understood that there were still some feelings between them. Looking up at the blue sky, Jun Xuanji smiled. It's over. Some of the unhappiness is over. Night Sorrow's heart also became clearer. Jun Xuanji's problem was also a sore point. Now that it was over, Jun Xuanji had only played a little trick. There wasn't any fundamental problem. As for that matter, Night Sorrow knew that Jun Xuanji didn't want him to take responsibility. It was just a small disturbance in his life. In the ancient world, the heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow, who had been silent for a while, and asked, Are you done? Uh-huh. She's quite reasonable. If there's anything that you feel is inappropriate, just tell me. As for the awkwardness, it's unavoidable. Night Sorrow nodded. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. After severing the karma, she's just herself. There's nothing between us. No one can look at me with special eyes. She won't either. The heavenly concubine smiled. Looking down on others required strength and ability. She, the heavenly concubine, could only look down on others. No one else could do that. After Jun Xuanji arrived, Night Sorrow gathered the leaders of the team for a meeting. Who has an idea? Take it out and let everyone think about it. We'll use whichever idea can stand up to scrutiny. If not, we'll think about it again. When we think of a strategy that can stand up to scrutiny, we'll talk about it again. Night Sorrow looked at the people in the tent and said, Night Sorrow, if we launch a sneak attack, according to your previous sneak attack tactics, is it possible to directly kill an expert? Jun Xuanji asked. It's impossible. Even if a divine soul unity realm cultivator doesn't defend, they can't be killed in a short period of time. Their bodies and souls are on a different level. Their survivability is extremely strong. Night Sorrow waved his hand. Jun Xuanji had some high-level cultivator memories, but it was only before the 7th Emperor Tribulation. The heavenly concubine's later breakthroughs and understanding of high-level cultivators were things that she didn't have. If a sneak attack doesn't work, what else can we do? The Blood Kirin King shook his head. Night Sorrow, you have the Poison Spirit's Poison Pearl. If you use the Poison Pearl to launch a sneak attack, you still have a chance. However, is this method suitable? The heavenly concubine asked. Chapter 2265. This is a little unscrupulous, Heavenly Astral Monarch muttered. Senior Heavenly Astral Monarch, I don't think so. War is only about victory and defeat. If we lose, the 100 races in the celestial realm will be in a terrible situation. The people of the 9 regions world have a way out, but the 100 races in the celestial realm don't, Jun Xuanji said. Xuanji, don't say that. We are now on the same side. Knight Sorrow waved his hand and stopped Jun Xuanji. It wasn't appropriate to be too aggressive at this time. War is only about victory and defeat. Heavenly Astral Monarch, we can't stick to the rules now. The cultivators of the ancient world are not polite to us. They will kill us directly when they see us, the Golden Dragon King said. This is a backup plan. Think of something else, Knight Sorrow said. He wouldn't use this method unless he had no other choice. Next, Heavenly Concubine suggested a formation battle. They would set up a large array and use the trap and kill tactic. It's a big project to set up an array that can trap and affect Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivators. But with the combination of a bait tactic, the formation battle will be effective. I will arrange this immediately. Use all the effective tactics. Sister Xian arrange for an array master to come over, Knight Sorrow said to Lin Piaomiao. Lin Piaomiao nodded. She was following the team because she represented the full cooperation of the elders. Okay, bring the array master of our Ice Phoenix race. Since we are going to play, let's play big. Heavenly Astral Monarch also expressed his support. The Golden Dragon King also nodded. The Golden Dragon race didn't have many people, but the Black Dragons and Azure Dragons were still very strong. After asking everyone to continue thinking, Knight Sorrow left the tent to find a suitable place to set up a large array. The power of a top-grade array couldn't be ignored no matter what realm the cultivator was in. Why didn't the Demon Imperial City break? One reason was because the head of the Demon Winged race's ancestor was overbearing. The other reason was that it complemented the array. Knight Sorrow took out the top-grade materials. The base of the array used Monarch Spirit Stone, the important places used Emperor Spirit Stone, and the core directly used the crystal core of the Black Horn Dragon. Unparalleled Great Array. This time, Knight Sorrow wanted to set up an unparalleled great array. Heavenly Concubine arrived by Knight Sorrow's side. The other party has 2 God Soul Unity Realm experts. If this array can trap one of them for a period of time, the 2 of us can work together to kill the other. The scales of victory will tip towards our side. I used the highest grade materials I have, so it should work. From the bottom of my heart, I don't want to use poison. If I use poison without saying anything after entering their city, then I'll be no different from them. Self-preservation is just a pretentious reason, Knight Sorrow said. You still have your own perseverance. The Heavenly Concubine nodded. Let's wait until the formation is set up. With the formation as our foundation, we can go and test the other party's attitude. If the other party is not aggressive and does not pursue us, then there is no need to continue this battle. If they pursue us relentlessly, then I'm sorry, Knight Sorrow said. The Heavenly Concubine did not say anything. She knew that no matter how bad the situation was, Knight Sorrow's bottom line was still there. He had his own considerations for some things and would not change because of external factors. Knight Sorrow set up the array while the others cultivated and thought of ideas. The Heavenly Concubine and Jun Xuanji did not have much interaction and only nodded to each other when they met. When setting up the array, Knight Sorrow thought about it carefully. He did not dare to make any mistakes. An array that could trap God's Soul Unity Realm cultivators was not easy to set up. It was related to space-time, life and death, void, destruction, and so on. It also involved support and cooperation. There could not be any conflicts. While setting up the array, Knight Sorrow's array Dao cultivation increased again. Even the areas that were not smooth in his cultivation were resolved. Knight Sorrow was not in a hurry to set up the array. However, he placed great importance on its scale and power. Time slipped away as Night Sorrow set up the array. On the other hand, the heavenly concubine, Lin Piaomiao, the Golden Dragon King, the heavenly Astral King, and Jun Xuanji were all studying the battle plan. 3 years. Night Sorrow led the array masters from the celestial realm to set up and perfect the array. They used a total of 3 years. My assets. 2/3 of my assets are in this array. Looking at the area where the array was, Night Sorrow felt a little emotional. Once it's used up, you can just dismantle it. The heavenly concubine said with a smile. That's true. Everyone and I used 3 years to set up this array. If we dismantle it, it will probably take less than 30 days. Night Sorrow nodded. Night Sorrow brought everyone back to the tent. How's the battle plan coming along? During these 3 years, Night Sorrow's main body was cultivating and his clone was studying the array. He did not really care about the battle plan or the arrangement of personnel. Lord Heavenly Concubine, you thought the most about the plan this time. You should tell the young city lord. The Golden Dragon King nodded at the Heavenly Concubine. This is everyone's idea. I can say a few words. Night Sorrow, there are some things that you don't want to do. We can't let you do it either. Our plan is to use peaceful means before using force. Let's see their attitude first. If they don't plan to fight, then your hard work will be in vain. The Heavenly Concubine said. Don't worry. If they don't fight, I'm willing to waste these 3 years. Night Sorrow smiled. He did not waste these 3 years at all. His main body had been cultivating all this time. In the 3 years in the real world, Night Sorrow's main body had cultivated for 150 years. His body's cultivation was not far from the peak of the 6th Emperor Tribulation. His realm had also improved a little, but it was not as obvious as his body's improvement. In addition, his 1,000 Realms defense body had also cultivated a world. He had reached the level where he could create a world with a thought. Faster attack. Of course, other than Night Sorrow himself, no one knew about these achievements because he had not fought in these 3 years. Let's talk about the plan. There are a few steps to the plan. The first step is to lure them in. We will talk to them first. If we can't negotiate, they will definitely fight. At that time, we will retreat and they will definitely chase. I specialize in speed, so we will lure them in. The 2 Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivators can't have the same speed. As long as their speeds are different, we will have an opportunity to use the array to attack them one by one. The Heavenly Concubine said. There is no problem with the general direction. Have you thought about the details? Night Sorrow turned to the group and asked. Yes, we have thought about it carefully. For every mistake, there will be a plan to fix it. This is already written down. Jun Xuanji took out a book and handed it to Night Sorrow. After looking at it, Night Sorrow nodded. The plan is good. Everyone has worked hard. Prepare a banquet and reward the array masters. After that, send them back. They can't have any accidents. Okay. Lin Piaomiao nodded. After 3 years of preparation, it's finally time to test the results. Heavenly Concubine, I will have to trouble you this time. Night Sorrow looked at the Heavenly Concubine and said. This was because the Heavenly Concubine and him were the main people in the plan. Chapter 2266. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Okay, let's work together. There's nothing we can't do. I'll look into this plan. If there are no problems, we'll carry it out later, Night Sorrow decided. After returning to the tent, Night Sorrow studied the plan. The plan was very detailed. There were detailed records of luring and fighting. After looking at it, Night Sorrow felt that the plan was feasible. The Heavenly Concubine, Jun Xuanji, and Lin Piaomiao all knew his fighting style and specialty. The battle plan was very suitable for his style. How do you feel? The heavenly concubine entered Night Sorrow's tent. Very good. Actually, I feel that if the luring fails, there's no need to dodge. We can do it a second time. We can use killing to lure them, Night Sorrow said. Killing to lure them? The heavenly concubine was stunned. Yes, a combination of assassination and luring. After the two sides meet and negotiate, let's not talk about fighting. If we fight, the first time we lure them out, we'll follow the plan and use the formation to surround them. If we fail, it's not a bad thing. I'm good with spacetime attributes and can sneak up on one of them. It'll be good if we can heavily injure the target, but if we can't, we'll retreat. Will they chase us? If they chase us, we'll lure them out. If they don't chase us, that's fine too. We'll just sneak up on them. This is much better than luring them out, Night Sorrow said as he closed the document. Hitting the nail on the head. This is the most important part of the plan, the heavenly concubine said. After that, Night Sorrow gathered the core of the team and told them the battle plan. Then, they started the first step of the battle plan, Hidden Dragon. Hidden Dragon was to hide the team in the illusion formation of the unparalleled formation. This way, the people of the ancient world group wouldn't be able to find them and would come out to fight when needed. After the team was hidden, Night Sorrow considered the issue of safety and set up a teleportation formation in the illusion formation. This meant that even if the unparalleled formation was surrounded, they could teleport out if they wanted to retreat. After setting up the teleportation formation, Night Sorrow brought the Golden Dragon King, Heavenly Astral King, Lin Piaomiao, Long Jin, and Lin Chuan to familiarize themselves with the formation. This way, they could control the formation even if he wasn't around. After the arrangements, Night Sorrow looked at everyone. When I'm not around, Elder Lin, Golden Dragon King, and Heavenly Astral King are in charge. Elder Lin, Golden Dragon, and Heavenly Astral King, the Golden Dragon King and Senior Heavenly Astral King, is. Everyone bowed and accepted the order. Everyone knew that in Yi Chang's heart, war was war. The members of the team didn't care if they were close or distant. Even brothers had to follow orders without any objections. After translation is Lin, translation is translation. Heavenly concubine, if you can't do it, you have to take me and run. Yi Shang handed the clear sky pagoda to the heavenly concubine as he spoke. The heavenly concubine took the clear sky pagoda and placed it in her robes. Don't worry, I won't leave you behind. Actually, whether or not we can coexist peacefully, we'll know as we get closer. If there's no possibility of negotiation, they'll directly attack. That is to say, if they come out to kill us, there is no possibility of peace. If we reach the city and they don't come to kill us, we can negotiate. Night Sorrow analyzed. It's like this. From their attitude, we can infer their decision. Actually, the chances of negotiation are very low. We all know this, but we have to do this. Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and said. Yes, it's almost impossible. But we have to give the other party and ourselves a chance. We can't go too far. Night Sorrow nodded. They didn't plan to fight directly, nor did they use poison. It was all Night Sorrow's idea. He didn't want his subordinates to become invaders with no bottom line. He also didn't want his subordinates to develop such a habit. Because of safety considerations, the campsite Night Sorrow chose was still very far from the city. So, Heavenly Concubine and Night Sorrow traveled for a day and a half before reaching the other party's area. This distance was also suitable for luring them. Flying at full speed for half a day was just right. As they got closer, cultivators appeared one after another. Because Night Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine both hid their cultivation, the cultivators of the ancient world group couldn't see through them. They didn't sense any danger and directly charged forward to kill. The result was inevitable. They're all a bunch of murderous bastards. They can't sense our cultivation, but they can sense that our life source is different. Refining our divine nascent pearls will increase their essence, so they definitely won't hold back. Heavenly Concubine said. Then there's no other way. We can only kill our way through. We'll talk when we get there. Knight Sorrow shook his head. This situation was also within his expectations. The battle continued. Knight Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine wanted to take a look around the city. They wanted to see what kind of attitude the ruler of this city had. When they were still some distance away from the city, a long howl was heard. Following that, two figures led a group of people and charged towards Knight Sorrow. Sirs, can we have a chat? The Heavenly Concubine spoke when the other party was still in attack range, conveying her wish. Cultivators from different realms. Haha. This is a good thing. Flying not far from Heavenly Concubine and Knight Sorrow, the middle-aged man in the lead laughed loudly. There's no need to kill on sight. We can talk about anything. Heavenly Concubine expressed her intention to talk again. Which realm are you from? Do you have a map? Hand over the map and you can become a member of our Fire King City. You're at the Divine Soul Unity realm and can become an elder. Forget about him. He's pretty good. He's a good resource. The man in the lead, the Fire King City Lord, said. You want the map? You want to kill and plunder our world? Do you think we'll hand it over? Heavenly Concubine's face turned cold. The Fire King City Lord didn't have the sincerity to talk. His goal was to kill and plunder. He didn't even give Knight Sorrow a chance to live. This made her very angry. Not handing it over? The City Lord is giving you a chance to live. Don't you want it? In that case, both of you will die. Another Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivator said. Giving me a chance to live? What shameless boasting. Who do you think you are? Heavenly Concubine laughed when she saw that there was no possibility of negotiation. The other party was too arrogant. I'm Fire King City's Vice City Lord, Ji Li. You're courting death. Ji Li was furious. He held his weapon in his hand and looked at the Fire King City Lord at the same time. The life origin aura on their bodies is very dense. You and I will take one each. The Fire King City Lord spoke. Heavenly Concubine, let's go. Seeing that there was no possibility of negotiation, Knight Sorrow nodded at Heavenly Concubine. Since we can't talk, then forget it. Heavenly Concubine smiled and pulled Knight Sorrow who was beside her. She then retreated and kept Knight Sorrow into the clear sky pagoda. Chapter 2267. Kill. With a long roar, the Fire King City Lord and Extreme Liao led their men to chase after the Heavenly Concubine. The Fire King City Lord and Extreme Liao were Divine Soul Uniting Realm cultivators of the Tribulation of the Nine Emperors. They had 3 subordinates of the same level behind them. With the Fire King City Lord's order, they all moved. They were very excited. The Heavenly Concubine and Knight Sorrow represented fat meat. A new realm had appeared and could provide a lot of resources. It would not be a problem for them to cultivate to the Divine Soul Uniting Realm. The Heavenly Concubine was good at speed. Her body flashed, leaving the Fire King City Lord and Extreme Liao behind. Normally, the City Lord is the strongest, but Extreme Liao's speed is faster than the Fire King City Lord's. The Heavenly Concubine flew while communicating with Knight Sorrow in the clear sky pagoda. The City Lord's combat power should be the strongest. Extreme Liao is faster than the Fire King City Lord, but his combat power is definitely weaker. Let's lure him and play slowly. Be careful to keep a safe distance. Knight Sorrow reminded the Heavenly Concubine because the Fire King City Lord and Extreme Liao had attacked. Sabers flew towards the Heavenly Concubine. The Heavenly Concubine flew in a curve and dodged the sabers. Then, she used her precept domain to increase her speed. Their speed is really fast. Their attack power is also high. The Heavenly Concubine made a preliminary evaluation of the Fire King City Lord's Extreme Liao. The ancient world's cultivators have a long history. They have more combat techniques and absolute arts than us, so their combat power is stronger. Let's increase the distance and let them use their highest speed, Night Sorrow said. The heavenly concubine replied to Night Sorrow and increased her speed again. She was from the Demon Wing clan. The members of the Demon Wing clan had strong bodies and a pair of flesh wings. They were best at speed. The heavenly concubine did not usually use her wings, but they had always been there and had been turned into energy. At that moment, a pair of transparent wings appeared on her back, causing her speed to increase again. Don't worry. I'm not afraid of them in terms of speed. The heavenly concubine communicated with Night Sorrow. She knew that Night Sorrow was very nervous and worried about her safety. Your wings are really beautiful. Night Sorrow sighed. The heavenly concubine's wings were different from the flesh wings of the other Demon Wing clan members. They did not look ugly. Instead, they were full of beauty and holy aura. Of course. These are the Holy Spirit wings. Heavenly concubine explained to Night Sorrow. She then told him about the Holy Spirit wings situation. Even though the situation was dire, Heavenly concubine was still in control. She knew that the other party would not be able to catch up. The three grand heavens of the Demon Wing clan had the qualifications to collect the power of faith. With the power of faith, the three of them had different uses. Enchanting used the power of faith to enhance his soul, Enchanting used it to strengthen his body, and Enchanting used it to cultivate the Saint Spirit wings. The Saint Spirit wings was the Demon Wing clan's lost art. In history, only 2 people had successfully cultivated it. Enchanting was the third. The wings of the Devil Wing clan members were all black. However, after cultivating the Holy Spirit wings, the heavenly concubine's wings turned white. In the end, they became half transparent and half jade-like. Furthermore, they were covered in white energy feathers. That's amazing. I didn't notice it before, Night Sorrow said with a smile. It's not that you didn't notice it. My Holy Spirit wings have always been hidden in my original body. When we fought, I wasn't my original body. I didn't have this ability. After I merged with my original body, I didn't use my full speed. Heavenly concubine explained the situation. During the conversation, the distance between the heavenly concubine and her pursuers grew wider. The one closest to her was Ji Liao, followed by the Fire King's city master, and then the other tribulation of 9 emperors' cultivators. Ji Liao, speed up and stop them. As long as we can stop them, they are dead for sure. This is also related to our future. With resources comes opportunities. Fire King's city master shouted at Ji Liao. He was not as fast as the heavenly concubine and was slowly being shaken off. He was a bit anxious because the appearance of the heavenly concubine and Night Sorrow was an opportunity for him. Ji Liao sped up again. His relationship with the Fire King's city master was not good, but their goal was the same. They wanted to kill the heavenly concubine, capture Night Sorrow, and find out where Night Sorrow and the heavenly concubine came from. That idiot sped up. I'll kill him later. He's just a frog in a well. What a shameless boaster, the heavenly concubine cursed. She was very disgusted by Ji Liao. Okay. Can you fake burning your essence blood and find a suitable explanation for your speed? This way, they won't give up and will chase with all their might. It will be easier to pull apart the distance. As long as we can lure Ji Liao out of the Fire King's city master's detection range, we will have more methods to use, Night Sorrow said to the heavenly concubine. Give me some of the Black Horn Dragon's essence blood. I'll activate it outside my body and show them some blood chi, the heavenly concubine said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took out a bottle of Black Horn Dragon's essence blood and gave it to the heavenly concubine. He had a lot of Black Horn Dragon's essence blood. Last time, when the Black Horn Dragon died, it returned to its original body. Its body was like a mountain and contained a lot of essence blood. M6. As the heavenly concubine activated the Black Horn Dragon's essence blood, A hazy blood chi appeared on the surface of her body and in her precept domain. Burning essence blood. You missed the chance to submit to the Fire King City. You must die today. Star steps. Ji Liao roared and increased his speed again. This movement technique is very powerful. His speed is about the same as mine. The heavenly concubine's expression changed slightly. The Fire King City Master was the most shocked. He did not know that Ji Liao's movement technique had reached such a level, which meant that Ji Liao was hiding something from him. Don't worry. His speed is about the same as yours. It'll be easy to pull away from the people behind. This is what we need. Be careful. Knight Sorrow was worried about the heavenly concubine, but he knew that things would go smoothly. Ji Liao was going into the trap that they had planned to break one by one. B** starred. He thinks that I've burned my essence blood and my condition has deteriorated. That's why he's willing to expose his trump card to chase us. The heavenly concubine cursed. If she had really burned her essence blood and Ji Liao's speed was so fast, it would be very troublesome. Don't be angry. Later, we'll kill him to vent your anger, Knight Sorrow said. Okay. My ability to trick people is not bad, right? Ji Liao is getting more and more impatient. When we leave the Fire King City Master's detection range later, I'll continue to pretend that I've burned my essence blood and become powerless. He'll definitely chase us, the heavenly concubine said. Knight Sorrow nodded. Ji Liao and the others were indeed strong, but their intelligence was worrying. In addition, the heavenly concubine's acting was very good. It was very realistic. Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivators flew at full speed. Their speed was extremely fast. After an hour, the Fire King City Master and the others had completely disappeared from the heavenly concubine and Ji Liao's detection range. This meant that the heavenly concubine and Ji Liao had also left the Fire King City Master's detection range. You idiot. If you have the ability, then continue to chase us. Burn more. The heavenly concubine's body drew an arc and changed direction. She then took the black horn dragon essence blood that Knight Sorrow passed to her and made the illusion of burning essence blood even bigger. Chapter 2268. He's dead for sure. Let's kill him. How about we sneak attack the Fire King City Lord? Heavenly Concubine was very excited to see Ji Yen following the plan. Okay, let's kill one and we won't be passive anymore. Heavenly Concubine, you're very good at lying. Knight Sorrow said. Heavenly Concubine's performance surprised him. Update, DH latest /% soon 6. Go. You're very good at lying. You've never lied to anyone before. It seems like you're really talented in this area. Also, don't you know that women are very good at lying? Heavenly Concubine's words had a hint of a smile, but her face was very serious as she flew. That was for Ji Yen to see. Ji Jiao saw the Heavenly Concubine's body shine with a bloody light. He maintained his speed and chased after her. He even felt that it was a good thing that he had escaped the Fire King City leader's detection range. If this went well, he would not need to return to the Fire King City leader's face. The Fire King City Lord realized that Heavenly Concubine and Ji Yen had disappeared from his detection range and became anxious. He was worried that Heavenly Concubine would run away and get nothing. He was also worried that Ji Yen would take all the benefits for himself. With this worry, the Fire King City Lord could only chase in a straight line. Heavenly Concubine maintained her speed at the same level as Ji Yen, who was using a movement technique. She charged towards the unparalleled formation. How long can we trick him like this? Knight Sorrow was a bit worried. He was worried that Ji Yen would realize something was wrong before they reached the unparalleled formation. After all, burning essence blood for a long time would make people suspicious. We'll trick him for as long as we can. If we can't trick him, we can't kill him. Heavenly Concubine's words were full of confidence. Knight Sorrow nodded. He knew that this was the truth. He and Heavenly Concubine could fight Ji Yen now, but they were worried about Ji Yen's speed. If he was determined to run, it would be troublesome. After running for a while, Heavenly Concubine reduced the amount of essence blood she used. At the same time, she slowed down because burning essence blood for a long time was very fake. As Heavenly Concubine slowed down, Ji Yen caught up and began to attack. Heavenly Concubine's Holy Spirit wings flapped as she dodged left and right. Heavenly Concubine, be careful. This is dancing on the edge of a knife. Night Sorrow was a bit worried. I'm fine. I have a plan. I'll play with him today. I definitely won't let him run away. The Heavenly Concubine's voice rang out within the vast heaven pagoda. Heavenly Concubine's speed was about the same as Ji Ho's when he used his ultimate movement skill. When Ji Ho attacked, his speed would decrease slightly. Heavenly Concubine's movement skill was fast, so dodging wasn't a problem. This became a normal battle between high-level cultivators. There were advantages and disadvantages, but suppressing and killing them was difficult. Of course, the current situation was controlled by the Heavenly Concubine. She wanted to make sure that Extreme Raven did not give up. Didn't I act beautifully? This is a fool who doesn't know the difference between life and death. He'll pay for his arrogance later. Heavenly Concubine chatted with Night Sorrow while fighting against Extreme Roar. She didn't feel any pressure. Soon. I've already scouted this area. According to our current speed, we're only half an hour away from our peerless Great Formation. Night Sorrow said to Heavenly Concubine after using his soul power to scan the situation outside. Soon. Let's avoid unnecessary trouble. Watch me. At this time, Heavenly Concubine, who was flying, shouted. Red blood appeared around her waist area. Then, her body glowed red again as she sped up. What's going on? Night Sorrow's face was full of shock. It's fake. When his blade arrived, I spun around and dodged the attack. At that time, I used my precept domain to completely isolate him. He didn't know that my injury was fake. That red color was the blood of the Black Dragon. Heavenly Concubine sped up as she communicated with Night Sorrow. You're trying to trick people to death. Night Sorrow sighed. Heavenly Concubine's acting was too good. There was no way that Extreme Raven wouldn't chase after her. Yes, I'm trying to trick people to death. But this feeling is very exciting. I've never tried it before. Heavenly Concubine's face was very serious, but her soul and Night Sorrow's conversation was full of excitement. The chase continued. According to Extreme Raven's subjective analysis, Heavenly Concubine was injured and burned a large amount of blood essence. Her combat power had plummeted. Burning blood essence wouldn't last for long. Heavenly Concubine kept releasing the Black Dragon's blood essence. Then, she burned her true chi, causing the blood-colored smoke to fill the outside of her body and precept domain. Then, she flapped her Holy Spirit wings to increase her speed. The 1-hour journey was soon over. Night Sorrow's Peerless Formation was right in front of them. It was hidden in the Illusion Formation. Night Sorrow's main body and doppelganger stood in the clear sky pagoda. The Samsara halberd and blood Chelan evil slaying spear were in his hands. Heavenly Concubine fell into the Peerless Formation in a perfect arc. Extreme Raven, who was right behind her, also entered the Peerless Formation. After entering the Peerless Formation, Extreme Raven was dumbfounded. Heavenly Concubine was gone, and the surroundings were filled with violent energy of heaven and earth. Space-time energy blades, limitless vortex, death wave, nihility melting, and other attacks all appeared. He had been ambushed. If Extreme Raven didn't know he had been ambushed, then he was an idiot. Night Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine stood side by side in the formation. They watched as Extreme Raven was attacked by the formation's energy. Heavenly Concubine, do you still remember how to walk in the formation? Night Sorrow asked Heavenly Concubine. I remember everything you told me. Also, this isn't the first time I've experienced this peerless formation. Don't worry, I can fight on my own. This bastard chased me all the way here. Does he think I'm afraid of him? Kill him. Heavenly Concubine's body flashed. She approached Extreme Raven and used her Compassion Life Sword Chi. Night Sorrow also attacked. His main body and doppelganger used Primordial Destruction / and Reincarnation True Dragon Art to kill Extreme Raven. Despicable and shameless person. Extreme Claw blocked the Heavenly Concubine's Compassion Life Sword Chi and dodged the Reincarnation True Dragon Art. However, he was hit by Night Sorrow's Primordial Destruction / Although he wasn't heavily injured, his chi and blood were unstable and his true chi couldn't flow smoothly. This was only the beginning. Heavenly Concubine and Night Sorrow's doppelganger started attacking Extreme Raven. They had to hurry up and get rid of Extreme Raven first. After a few rounds, Extreme Raven was hit by Heavenly Concubine's Compassion Life Sword Chi. At the same time, he noticed that Heavenly Concubine's white dress was as clean as new. There was no blood or damage. He immediately understood everything. After entering the Peerless formation, Heavenly Concubine's dress contained energy and shook off the Black Dragon's essence blood. You didn't burn your essence blood? Noticing Heavenly Concubine's red face and blood energy, Extreme Raven asked. Do I need to burn my essence blood to compete with you in speed? I'm just tricking an idiot like you. Didn't you chase me with all your might? Do you really think you're that strong? Take this. Heavenly Concubine replied to Extreme Raven and continued attacking. Chapter 2269. Don't think that you are innocent. We went to negotiate, but you wanted to fight. From the moment you chased us, we were on opposing sides. If you die in battle, you can only say that you are inferior. Night Sorrow's reincarnation Heavenly Halberd appeared from the void and struck Ji Jiao's shoulder, who couldn't dodge in time. Ji Jiao's shoulder blade was shattered, and the primordial energy also entered Ji Jiao's body to destroy it. Winning with numbers and relying on the assistance of a formation, you won with an unfair advantage. Ji Yen roared. F***ck your ancestors, can you still be shameless? It was your group that chased us first and wanted to besiege us first, okay? Now you mention this, go die. Hearing Ji Jiao's words, the Heavenly Concubine was very angry and began to curse. She couldn't stand Ji Jiao's shamelessness. Well scolded, true temperament, haha. Night Sorrow laughed, but he didn't stop attacking Ji Jiao. Night Sorrow knew that the Heavenly Concubine had changed. She became very casual and had flesh and blood like an ordinary person. She was completely different from the Mo Tianji of the Devil-Winged Clan during the Three Grand Heavens. Night Sorrow and the Heavenly Concubine were in high spirits as they continued to injure Ji Jiao. Ji Jiao's condition was getting worse and worse. This opponent is dead for sure. We can't see his cultivation, so we don't know if he is in the 9th Emperor Tribulation or Divine Soul Unity realm. The Golden Dragon King, who was watching from inside the array, said. He was in the 5th Emperor Tribulation, so he could see the cultivation of the 8th Emperor Tribulation. Naturally, he couldn't see the cultivation of the 9th Emperor Tribulation. If it is one of the two Divine Soul Unity realm experts, then the situation can be turned around. They can deal with a single expert, but I'm afraid if they fight together, we won't be able to resist their attack and damage. The Heavenly Astral King nodded and sighed. He didn't know when it started, but he couldn't participate in high-level battles anymore. 2 hours later, Night Sorrow and the Heavenly Concubine killed Ji Jiao without any injuries. Ji Jiao was very poor in cultivation resources, but he was very rich in refining resources. This was the common problem of the ancient world's cultivators. They didn't have enough cultivation resources, but they collected refining materials over the years, so they still had a lot of surplus. After killing Extreme Ho, Night Sorrow, and Heavenly Concubine entered the Clear Sky Pagoda's time-accelerated layer to recover. They needed to recover to their peak state as soon as possible. The Heavenly Concubine and Night Sorrow only used 2 hours of real time to recover under the effects of 50 times time acceleration and the use of resources. The two of them gathered with the others because they were going to discuss the next battle deployment. Now, the two of you have two choices. One is to go back and look for the Fire King City Lord and see if you can continue to use the bait tactic. The other is to go directly to the Fire King City and clean up their high-level cultivators, Jun Xuanji said. Go to Fire King City. Let's go and find the Fire King City Lord. Whether we can meet him or not is another matter. After all, we are flying at high speed. We don't even know where he went. Besides, the Fire King City Lord saw that Ji-ho was chasing after us. He will be more or less alert. Faced with this choice, we might not gain anything. Let's give up and go to the Fire King City. That way, we will be able to maximize our gains. After listening to Jun Xuanji's suggestion, Knight Sorrow made his decision. If there are no more high-level cultivators in the Fire King City, can Heavenly Astral King and I follow? This way, we can also increase our gains slightly, the Golden Dragon King said. Sure. Sister Xian Air, you will guard the unparalleled Great Array. If anything happens, just crush my communication crystal. Golden Dragon King, Heavenly Astral King, the two of you will have to enter my Clear Sky Pagoda. Without any hesitation, Knight Sorrow made his decision. The Golden Dragon King and Heavenly Astral King nodded and allowed Knight Sorrow to take them into the Clear Sky Pagoda. They knew that they just had to act according to Knight Sorrow's plan. In order to race against time, after exiting the Great Array, Knight Sorrow handed the Clear Sky Pagoda to Heavenly Concubine. He also entered the Clear Sky Pagoda in a flash, allowing Heavenly Concubine to travel as fast as she could. Heavenly Concubine, we made a mistake. If we set up a teleportation array in the dark near the Fire King City, we wouldn't have wasted so much time. Knight Sorrow, who was waiting in the Clear Sky Pagoda, found a mistake. That is indeed the case, but it doesn't matter. After we go over this time, we can set it up in time. This back and forth luring and assassinating will require a lot of running back and forth. Heavenly Concubine's thoughts were the same as Knight Sorrow's. She also felt that this teleportation array was very necessary. With Heavenly Concubine flying at full speed, it took them a while to reach the vicinity of the Fire King City. Heavenly Concubine went to investigate the situation, and Knight Sorrow quickly set up an illusion array. Knight Sorrow set up a teleportation array in the illusion array and connected it to the teleportation array in the unparalleled Great Array. Knight Sorrow wasn't afraid of any problems, because once the illusion array was broken, the teleportation array would explode, and no one would be able to kill their way through the teleportation array into the unparalleled Great Array. Knight Sorrow set up the array and waited for Heavenly Concubine to investigate the situation. Not long after, Heavenly Concubine returned. The highest cultivation in the city is an 8 Emperor Tribulation cultivator. The rest are lower, we can kill them all. It seems like the Fire King City Lord hasn't returned with a few 9 Emperor Tribulation cultivators under him. Then there's nothing to say. Let's clean up the middle and upper level cultivators. Seniors Golden Dragon King and Heavenly Astral King, please be careful. We have to deal with our opponents safely. Knight Sorrow said to Golden Dragon King and Heavenly Astral King. Don't worry, young City Lord. We haven't lived long enough. Golden Dragon King said with a smile. Also, don't resist the soul power of Heavenly Concubine and mine. Let's go. Knight Sorrow ordered. The group of 4 approached Fire King City. As they got closer, the cultivators in the city came out. They could feel that Knight Sorrow and the other 3 were different. In their eyes, Knight Sorrow and the other 3 were resources. They had to kill and obtain them, even if they had to die. Brandishing the Samsara Heavenly Halberd in his hand, Knight Sorrow controlled his doppelganger to appear and rush towards the cultivators in Fire King City. At this moment, Heavenly Concubine was already fighting with the strongest cultivator in Fire King City, an 8 Emperor Tribulation cultivator. Knight Sorrow's original body and doppelganger were killing the 7 Emperor Tribulation and 6 Emperor Tribulation cultivators. The Golden Dragon King and Heavenly Astral King were attacking the 3 Emperor Tribulation and 4 Emperor Tribulation cultivators. Slaughter. It was a complete slaughter. When high-level cultivators attacked the Golden Dragon King and Heavenly Astral King, Night Sorrow would intercept them. The Samsara Heavenly Halberd and Blood Sheelan Evil Slaying Spear would take their lives. At this moment, they were pursuing efficiency. Heavenly Concubine, let's retreat. After 2 hours of bitter fighting, Night Sorrow felt that the Golden Dragon King and Heavenly Astral King had expended a lot of energy. He shouted to Heavenly Concubine. The Holy Spirit wings behind Heavenly Concubine flapped and drew 2 arcs. She kept Heavenly Astral King and the Golden Dragon King into the Clear Sky Pagoda. Finally, she picked up Night Sorrow and quickly flew out of Fire King's city. After leaving a distance and shaking off the pursuers, Heavenly Concubine entered the Illusion Array area where the Teleportation Array was. 7/MOTT New, Chapter Y equals Section 1Z, Rest for a while. Shall we continue? Heavenly Concubine looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Chapter 2270. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the Heavenly Concubine and the others nodded. She understood that Night Sorrow was worried about the safety of the Golden Dragon King and the Heavenly Astral King. The Golden Dragon King and the Heavenly Astral King didn't say anything. They knew that Night Sorrow had various considerations. If he didn't consider their safety, Night Sorrow and the Heavenly Concubine could still fight because the Fire King's City Lord couldn't threaten their safety. Why and on La Golden Dragon King, Senior Heavenly Astral King, the 2 of you take the Teleportation Array back. Pay attention to the unparalleled array. There can't be any problems there. We still need the array to support the war, Night Sorrow said. After cupping his fists at Night Sorrow, the Golden Dragon King and the Heavenly Astral King left. There was no point in them staying here. Night Sorrow and the Heavenly Concubine entered the Clear Sky Pagoda's time acceleration level. Heavenly Concubine, let's recover quickly and then start killing, Night Sorrow said to the Heavenly Concubine. Start killing after recovering? The Heavenly Concubine was stunned. Yes, we'll go and kill again. If the Fire King's City Lord comes back, we'll lure him out. If he chases us, we'll kill him. If he doesn't chase us, we won't lose anything. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he ate a pill and held the Monarch's Spirit Stone in his hand to recover. The Heavenly Concubine smiled because Night Sorrow understood it better than her. She was still thinking about what to do if the Fire King's City Lord came back. Subjectively, she was still thinking about the danger and unfeasibility. However, Night Sorrow's mind was clear. He saw the problem directly and was still carrying out the war according to the plan. After recovering for 2 hours, Night Sorrow and the Heavenly Concubine set off again and entered the Fire King's city to kill. After killing for a while, the Fire King's City Lord returned with 3 cultivators from the tribulation of the 9 emperors. They appeared in Night Sorrow and the Heavenly Concubine's detection range. Night Sorrow, they're in a bad state. Should we kill them? The Heavenly Concubine asked Night Sorrow after killing a cultivator from the tribulation of the 5 emperors. Kill. That Fire King's City Lord is probably hard to kill. Don't worry about him, I'll help you pin him down. You kill the weakest one and then we'll run. Night Sorrow said to Heavenly Concubine. Be careful. If we can't handle it, we'll run. There's no need to fight to the death. The Heavenly Concubine nodded at Night Sorrow and headed out of the city. She charged towards the Fire King's City Lord and the others. The 2 sides clashed. Night Sorrow's original body charged towards the Fire King's City Lord. As he charged forward, a hazy energy appeared around his body. With a thought, a world was born. Night Sorrow used the Thousand Realms defensive body. Night Sorrow's main body rushed towards the Fire King's City Lord while his avatar rushed towards another 9 Emperor Tribulation cultivator. He wanted to create a space for the Heavenly Concubine to kill her opponent. The battle was very intense. This was a high-end group battle. The heavenly concubine dodged an ancient cultivator's attack and started fighting against a 9 Emperor Tribulation cultivator. Knight Sorrow had the Thousand Realms defensive body. He didn't care about ordinary attacks. He used soul attacks and spatial cracks to stop the Fire King City Lord and the strongest 9 Emperor Tribulation cultivator. The heavenly concubine relied on her speed to dodge an attack from a 9 Emperor Tribulation cultivator. She killed the weakest one. As the battle continued, the heavenly concubine's opponents kept getting hit. It was the extremely destructive Compassion Life Sword Chi. Knight Sorrow and the heavenly concubine weren't much stronger than their opponents. In fact, their overall strength was inferior. However, their states were different. Knight Sorrow and the heavenly concubine were at their peak while the Fire King City Lord and the others were exhausted. They had expended a lot of energy chasing after the heavenly concubine and extreme flame. After their soul crystals were crushed by their subordinates, the Fire King City Lord and the others didn't care about some reinforcements. They didn't have any time to recover. Heavenly concubine, be careful. Knight Sorrow noticed the heavenly concubine's opponent was struggling desperately and reminded the heavenly concubine. He's dead for sure, the heavenly concubine replied to Knight Sorrow. 2 strands of sword chi attacked the opponent's body again. You asked for it. Disintegrate. At this time, the heavenly concubine's target roared. His body instantly expanded and exploded. Then, a black soul rushed towards the heavenly concubine. The heavenly concubine's soul shook and blocked the black soul outside her head. However, she didn't force it back. At this time, the other ancient cultivators started attacking wildly. Because the heavenly concubine was using soul defense, her battle strength plummeted. Knight Sorrow, leave. He's using a secret technique to possess you, the heavenly concubine shouted at Knight Sorrow. Leave? How could Knight Sorrow leave the heavenly concubine in danger? He couldn't and wouldn't do that. He would only think of a way to solve this problem. Break, explode. Knight Sorrow roared. The doppelganger's left arm broke and flew towards the heavenly concubine. Then, the doppelganger pounced on the main body and merged with the main body. After that, Knight Sorrow used the space-time realm and appeared in front of the heavenly concubine. Then, he pushed the Thousand Worlds defense to the maximum to block the explosion of his left arm for himself and the heavenly concubine. The self-detonation power of a 9 Emperor's Tribulation cultivator was astonishing. The self-detonation power of one of Yishang's arms was equally astonishing. The power of qi and blood contained in one of his arms was not much weaker than that of a 9 Emperor's Tribulation cultivator. Following the explosion, the soul attack of the ancient cultivator was pushed back. However, Knight Sorrow also spat out 2 mouthfuls of blood. He was pushed against the heavenly concubine's chest by the energy impact. He was also pushed back by the heavenly concubine. His sternum was shattered. In order to protect the heavenly concubine, he couldn't dodge at all. He could only take it head-on. Go! Knight Sorrow's soul power exploded and absorbed most of the blood chi from the explosion of his left arm. Then, he entered the clear sky pagoda. The heavenly concubine was still in shock. However, it didn't delay her actions. She grabbed the clear sky pagoda with her left hand and flashed away. The Fire King City Master and the others gave up after a short distance. They couldn't catch up with her the first time. Now that they were not in the same condition as the heavenly concubine, they couldn't even catch up. When they returned to the Fire King City, the Fire King City Master's expression was very ugly. Most of the Emperor Tribulation cultivators under his command were killed. There were almost no mid-level Emperor Tribulation cultivators left. He had been tricked. The Fire King City Master knew that he had been tricked and suffered a great loss. In a palace in the City Master's mansion, the soul crystals of a few high-level cultivators of the Fire King City were extinguished. Among them, there was Ji Hao's soul crystal. Activate the city protection formation. We'll defend first. The Fire King City Master ordered. The heavenly concubine brought Knight Sorrow. After confirming that there were no pursuers, they entered the teleportation formation. At this time, Night Sorrow also appeared. Night Sorrow, how are you? The heavenly concubine looked at Night Sorrow worriedly. She knew that Night Sorrow had taken the brunt of the explosion to protect her. It's a little serious. Let's go back to the unparalleled formation first. Night Sorrow nodded. His current situation was not good. Fortunately, he had absorbed most of the blood chi from the explosion of his left arm. It would be easier for him to recover when he returned. Night Sorrow and the heavenly concubine returned to the unparalleled formation. Night Sorrow enlarged the clear sky pagoda and entered the time acceleration layer. Heavenly concubine, what happened to the young city master? The Golden Dragon King asked worriedly. Chapter 2271. The heavenly concubine told the Golden Dragon King, Lin Piaomiao, and the others about the situation. This isn't a small victory, but the price is too high, the heavenly astral king said. The others didn't say anything. Their hearts were heavy, and they didn't want anything to happen to Night Sorrow. In the clear sky pagoda's time-accelerated layer, Night Sorrow's main body and clone sat separately on the ground. His clone was wrapped in energy that hadn't dissipated yet. He used this energy to regenerate his broken limbs. His main body ate an elixir and took a monarch spirit stone to heal. The heavenly concubine stayed in her tent. After this battle, she had a deep feeling because Night Sorrow was sincere in saving her, even at the cost of his life. If it wasn't for Night Sorrow risking his life to save her, her soul would have been attacked, and her combat power would have decreased. She would have been in danger of dying in the encirclement. After thinking for a while, the heavenly concubine once again confirmed that living in the nine-domain world was the best choice. She asked herself, in the Demon Wing clan, Mo Zhantian and Mo Yutian could help her, but to the extent of risking their lives, they couldn't do it. After a month, Night Sorrow came out of seclusion. Are you okay? The moment Night Sorrow came out, the heavenly concubine flashed to Night Sorrow's side. I'm fine. I was just beaten up because my skills weren't as good. It hurt a little. Night Sorrow smiled and brought the heavenly concubine into the command tent. After Night Sorrow came out of seclusion, the main members of the team entered the command tent. Have there been any movements during this time? Night Sorrow asked as he brewed tea. No, there haven't been any ancient cultivators in our region. Lin Piaomiao nodded to Night Sorrow. How's the spatial tunnel? Have there been any ancient cultivators in our 100 regions? Night Sorrow asked again. He was fighting at the front, so the defensive line behind was also very important. They did. Ancient cultivators appeared in a few districts near the periphery. However, they were exterminated. Lin Piaomiao gave Night Sorrow the answer. Night Sorrow nodded, feeling much more at ease. Following that, he analyzed the current situation of the Fire King city with everyone. According to the comparison of strength, both sides were not too far apart. We still can't fight them head-on. That'll only cause injuries. The best way is to rely on this formation to kill them, Jun Xuanji said. Xuanji, you're right. The array formation that took 3 years to complete must be put to good use. Night Sorrow looked at Jun Xuanji and nodded. After chatting for a while, the meeting adjourned. There were some things that Night Sorrow didn't tell everyone. He planned to launch a sneak attack, but he didn't need everyone to do so. This was a blow to everyone's morale. After the meeting adjourned, Yi Shang accompanied his wives who had come to participate in the battle and walked around the perimeter of the array. Lin Piaomiao followed the team and acted as a bridge. She communicated with the rear and made some necessary adjustments. Aoi, Yang Lei, Sikong Chuyu, and Datura were all in the god-slaying team. Xueshi was in Sky City dealing with family matters. Night Sorrow, you have to be careful. Everyone is worried about you. Fighting for the celestial realm and the 9 regions world is something you should do. However, you have to think about yourself and your family, Sikong Chuyu said. I'll be careful. I've made you all worry, Night Sorrow said apologetically. We're not blaming you. We just don't want anything to happen to you, Sikong Chuyu said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that his family was worried. After resting for 2 days, Night Sorrow called the heavenly concubine to his tent. Are we going to proceed to the next step of the plan? The heavenly concubine asked. Yes. We can't be stopped by the Fire King City. As long as we work together to heavily injure one, we can proceed to the final battle, Night Sorrow said. I've seen your sneak attacks in the past. You're good at the spatial element. Bring me along and we'll work together to heavily injure one. Even if we don't kill him, we just need to destroy his body and make him lose his ability to fight. The heavenly concubine nodded. She supported his decision. What was the soul attack after that guy self-destructed? Night Sorrow asked. That was a soul secret technique. It's used for possession. If his soul body enters the divine sea, it'll be troublesome. It'll be easy for his soul to be destroyed and his body to be possessed. It should be a soul secret technique inheritance, the heavenly concubine analyzed. She still had lingering fears. That situation was too dangerous. We can't be careless with the cultivators of the ancient world group. Their foundations are too deep. We don't even know some of their inherited secret techniques and ultimate techniques. One careless mistake could be fatal, Yishan said. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow and the heavenly concubine decided to assassinate a 9-emperor tribulation cultivator under the Fire King City's city lord. Night Sorrow and the heavenly concubine were still a little afraid of the Fire King City's city lord because his battle strength was indeed strong. His only weakness was that his speed wasn't outstanding. After drinking a pot of tea, Night Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao talked to each other before leaving with the heavenly concubine. They took the teleportation array and arrived at the illusion array outside the Fire King City. Night Sorrow, if there's any more danger, don't save me like last time. Nothing can happen to you, the heavenly concubine said to Night Sorrow. Then something can happen to you? Let me ask you, if I'm in danger, will you save me? If you save me, then don't say anything else, Night Sorrow said. Okay. There are some things that I don't know as well as you do. But no matter what, you have to be careful. The heavenly concubine thought about it and nodded. If Night Sorrow was in that situation, she would also save him. Seeing the heavenly concubine nod, Night Sorrow smiled. He used a rhetorical question to dispel some of the thoughts that the heavenly concubine shouldn't have. It's good to have battles. After a few years, I can settle down and continue my closed-door training. Night Sorrow let out a breath and said. The heavenly concubine supported Night Sorrow's point of view. Improving and settling down went hand in hand. Night Sorrow's choice was right. Night Sorrow waved his arm and tore a hole in space. Night Sorrow's protective energy wrapped around the heavenly concubine and they entered the chaotic void stream. Be careful. Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivators are very sensitive to the fluctuations of heaven and earth energy. Will be easily discovered in the chaotic void stream, the heavenly concubine said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded and used the Thousand Realms defense body to completely isolate himself from the heavenly concubine's aura. Then the two of them flew toward the Fire King City. At this moment, in Fire King City, the Fire King City governor and 2 tribulation of 9 emperors cultivators were thinking of countermeasures. The tribulation of 9 emperors cultivator who had self-destructed had taken over the body of a talented cultivator and was in seclusion. Positive N version R, C. Chapter 2272. We can't defend. Yes, they'll definitely attack. If they can kill Ji Jiao, they must have strength we don't know about. That divine soul uniting realm cultivator's speed is shocking and his movement technique is outstanding. That sword chi absolute art is especially powerful. That young tribulation 6 emperors cultivator's combat power is also shocking. I can't kill him in a short time. The Fire King City Lord shook his head and sighed. He was the one who wanted to fight. Now that he was weaker, he felt defeated. The two Tribulation 9 Emperors cultivators sitting below the Fire King City Lord didn't say anything. This was the truth. The Fire King City's strength had been greatly reduced. They had lost more than half of their high-level and ordinary combat power. Most importantly, Night Sorrow and the Heavenly Concubine had killed Ji Jiao and destroyed a Tribulation 9 Emperor's cultivator right in front of them. This meant that they had defeated and killed the Fire King City's peak strength. It would be easier to deal with them now. Let's go. Take the cultivators with us and leave. We don't care about the rest. If they want the Fire King City, we'll give it to them. The Fire King City Lord made his decision. Night Sorrow and the Heavenly Concubine approached the Fire King City amidst the spatial turbulence. Spatial reinforcement. They've activated the city protection array. Night Sorrow saw the difference. Can we pass? The Heavenly Concubine asked. Night Sorrow didn't say anything. He waved his empty left hand and a blank area appeared in the spatial turbulence. Night Sorrow brought the Heavenly Concubine forward. Seeing how Night Sorrow solved the problem so easily, the Heavenly Concubine sighed. She knew that no cultivator she knew could compare with Night Sorrow in terms of spatial attainment. The fact that he could cultivate the Thousand Realms defense body meant that he was skilled. Are they trying to escape? After entering the Fire King City, the Heavenly Concubine sensed the Fire King City Lord and the two Tribulation 9 Emperors cultivators' movements. They're trying to escape. What should we do? The sudden situation stunned Night Sorrow. This wasn't part of the plan, and there was no plan to deal with it. How would I know what to do? Heavenly Concubine was at a loss. She wasn't prepared for this. If they run away, they will be a threat. If they know that people from the realm have appeared, they will definitely look for the spatial passageway everywhere. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and considered the problem of danger first. Let's ignore the two cultivators from the Tribulation of the 9 Emperors for now. If they want to run, then run. Let's work together and kill the Fire King City Lord first. He's the biggest threat, said the Heavenly Concubine. That's the only way. If they split up, we can't stop them. If the other two cultivators from the Tribulation of the 9 Emperors don't run away, what if they follow the Fire King City Master and fight with us? If that's the case, we won't be able to achieve our goal. Night Sorrow spoke. He knew that choosing the City Lord of the Fire King City was the best way to deal with this. However, there were still some problems. Don't worry, we will attack the Fire King City Master and injure him severely as soon as possible. The two Tribulation of 9 Emperors cultivators will be afraid and they won't dare to attack. Under such circumstances, if they still plan to come and help, we will give them a warning and ask them to scram. If they don't scram, we will give up on the Fire King City Lord and kill them. I don't believe that they aren't afraid of death. Heavenly Concubine's fair face revealed killing intent. Then let's wait and see. As long as we can injure the Fire King City Lord quickly, we will be able to intimidate them. Night Sorrow felt that the Heavenly Concubine's threat would be effective. Of course, it wasn't a threat. If the two cultivators from the Tribulation of the 9 Emperors really came to help, they would really kill them. Genuine PvP, quietly, Night Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine approached the area where the Fire King City Lord was. Night Sorrow turned his head and looked at Heavenly Concubine. I'm ready. Heavenly Concubine nodded at Night Sorrow. His clone appeared and stood beside him. Night Sorrow let out a breath and calmed himself down. He had never ambushed a Divine Soul Unity Realm cultivator before. After calming himself down, Night Sorrow released the energy of the Thousand Realms defense body to the maximum. He controlled his aura so that it wouldn't leak out. Then, soul-extinguishing Crescent Moon Blade appeared behind his main body and clone. Both his main body and clone began to accumulate energy. It was the same for Heavenly Concubine. If they were to attack, they would injure the Fire King City Lord severely. When he felt that it was about time, Knight Sorrow's main body slashed down with his left hand and tore to the side. Then, 2 crescent moon blades flew out. Then, he released the Merit Primordial Taboo Dao domain. It was the Merit Primordial Taboo Dao domain supported by the human Dao's sacred scripture, Dao De Jing. It was released by both his main body and clone at the same time. After the suppression of the Dao domain was completed, Knight Sorrow's main body and clone attacked together. Primordial Annihilation / and Reincarnation True Dragon Art bombarded the Fire King City Lord together. Heavenly Concubine's attack was even faster. She flew out from Knight Sorrow's side and used the Compassion Life Sword Chi to attack the Fire King City Lord's body. The sudden attack caused the Fire King City Lord's expression to change drastically. He wanted to counterattack, but he was suppressed by Knight Sorrow's Dao domain. His movements were also restricted. After being affected by Knight Sorrow's soul attack, he couldn't dodge Heavenly Concubine's Compassion Life Sword Chi. After the Fire King City Lord was hit by the Compassion Life Sword Chi, he was then hit by Knight Sorrow's 2 spears. His weapon hurriedly blocked the Heavenly Samsara halberd, but the Blood Chilan Evil Slaying Spear pierced through his abdomen. He grabbed the Blood Chilan Evil Slaying Spear with his left hand and kicked Knight Sorrow's abdomen. Knight Sorrow's clone's right arm shook the Blood Chilan Evil Slaying Spear. The reincarnation energy rushed toward the Fire King City Lord's body. His main body slapped out the Heavenly Samsara halberd diagonally and smashed the Fire King City Lord's right foot that was kicking his clone's abdomen. With a muffled sound, Knight Sorrow's main body was sent flying. At the same time, the Fire King City Lord's right foot bone was also shattered. The Fire King City Lord's attack was very fierce. Knight Sorrow knew that it was because of the Heavenly Concubine's cooperation and the Compassion Life Sword Chi that wreaked havoc in the Fire King City Lord's body. Otherwise, he would have received this kick. Knight Sorrow's main body was forced back. The Fire King City Lord waved his weapon and forced the Heavenly Concubine back. Then, his left hand punched at Knight Sorrow's clone. The punch was fierce. Knight Sorrow's clone didn't dare to take it head-on. He pulled out the Blood Chilan Evil Slaying Spear that had been released from his control and floated back. He controlled his Dao domain and soul attack to prepare for a second attack. The Heavenly Concubine floated back and rushed over again, beginning the second wave of attacks. Men! Both of you deserve to die. The Fire King City Lord was severely injured. He opened his mouth to shout and then cursed angrily. You deserve to die. I was talking to you, but you put on airs. Do you really think you're so capable? I'll let you die today. The Heavenly Concubine's Compassion Life Sword Chi once again attacked the Fire King City Lord's body. Then, she surrounded the Fire King City Lord and kept attacking. Knight Sorrow's main body and clone also attacked the Fire King City Lord with their spear lights. At this time, the Fire King City Lord had released his Dao domain. However, he was suppressed to a certain area. His movements and attacks were restricted. He was constantly receiving damage from the Heavenly Concubine and Knight Sorrow's attacks. At this time, the 2 cultivators under the Fire King City Lord's tribulation of the 9 emperors flew over. Even without the Fire King City Lord's call, they knew about such a big battle. Chapter 2273. Hearing Yi Shang's shout, the 2 cultivators of the tribulation of the 9 emperors, who were approaching, paused. They hesitated. Knight Sorrow's words were full of intimidation. If Knight Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine were determined to give up on killing the Fire King City Lord and attack them instead, they would be in danger of dying. They were also worried that if Knight Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine attacked them, what would the Fire King City Lord do? If the Fire King City Lord could give up on Fire King City, he could also give up on them. After hesitating for a moment, the 2 tribulation of 9 emperors looked at each other and left. Selfish. At this moment, they were showing extreme selfishness. Both of you deserve to die. Seeing the 2 powerful subordinates leave, the Fire King City Lord roared in exasperation. He knew that he had been abandoned. You are always shouting that this one deserves to die, that one deserves to die. You deserve to die the most. Heavenly Concubine roared, and a sword she shot into the Fire King City Lord's chest. Fire King City was in chaos. All the cultivators fled in all directions. No one was stupid. They naturally understood the situation of their city lord. Since the two tribulation of 9 emperors' elders had fled, why wouldn't they flee? When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. This was the portrayal of Fire King City. No one helped him. He was heavily injured from the start. In addition, his speed was not as fast as Heavenly Concubine's. The Fire King City Lord was suppressed and killed. An hour later, the Fire King City Lord's body was destroyed by Night Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine. Because of Night Sorrow's soul destruction / and Heavenly Concubine's soul shock, he didn't even have the chance to self-destruct. After his body was destroyed, the Fire King City Lord's spiritual body was not completely destroyed. 3 parts of his spiritual body escaped. Night Sorrow's main body and avatar controlled the fire of virtue to lock down 2 balls of spiritual body, allowing one of them to escape. We didn't kill him completely. Night Sorrow said. Enough. His body is gone. Only 1/3 of his soul is left. He can't recover and won't be a threat anymore. Heavenly Concubine took the battle blade and storage ring left behind by the Fire King City Lord and said, "The Fire King City Master is no longer a threat, but the 2 tribulation of 9 emperors cultivators are still a problem. In addition, the cultivators of Fire King City are fleeing in all directions. They left Fire King City and will seek refuge with other powers. They will report this matter to their superiors. If they search the spatial passageway, they will definitely become the target of the ancient cultivators. The news will definitely be leaked." Night Sorrow helplessly shook his head. This is unavoidable. A massacre without leaving anyone alive? We can't do that. We can't. Heavenly Concubine said. Yes, we can't do that. We can't do it either. Night Sorrow nodded. After that, Night Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine cleaned up the City Lord's mansion and collected a large amount of refining materials before returning to the illusion array. Let's not tear down this teleportation array for the time being. Let's just leave it as it is. Let's go back, Night Sorrow said to Heavenly Concubine. After returning to the unparalleled Great Formation, Night Sorrow and Heavenly Concubine first recovered. Then, Night Sorrow gathered the main members in the main tent and reported the current situation. In other words, our confrontation with Fire King City has ended? The Golden Dragon King looked at Night Sorrow in astonishment. Yes, it's over. Also, after thinking about it, I feel that we should focus on defense. Fighting like this isn't a solution. Not to mention killing, it won't solve the root of the problem. Night Sorrow spoke his thoughts. No one objected to Night Sorrow's suggestion. The main idea was decided just like that. After using close to a month, Night Sorrow dismantled the unparalleled Great Formation. The arrangement and dismantling of the unparalleled Great Formation wasted a lot of energy, but Night Sorrow didn't feel that it was unnecessary. This was because there wasn't a huge impact. If there was, the unparalleled Great Formation would be a safeguard. After dismantling the unparalleled Great Formation, Night Sorrow led his people to clean up the path and then returned to the spatial tunnel. After returning to the celestial realm at the spatial tunnel, Night Sorrow and King Yawu discussed some of their thoughts. The ancient world group is too big, and the situation is unclear. Our main goal is to defend. King Yawu nodded. In addition, I plan to arrange an unparalleled Great Formation. Uncle, do you think we should arrange it inside or outside the spatial tunnel? Night Sorrow asked King Yawu. We are from the celestial realm. Our goal is to protect the celestial realm from being invaded. Let's place it on our side. This is in line with the heavenly law. King Yawu spoke his thoughts. Okay, then I will arrange it. Night Sorrow had the same thoughts as King Yawu. Actually, the reason he had retreated was because Night Sorrow had been shaken. No matter how good the reason was, it was a fact that he had entered the ancient world and slaughtered everyone. He was an invader and had lost his sense of righteousness. This was also the reason why he had not received any merit when he returned to the celestial realm despite his plentiful battle results. Allowing the team to move freely, Knight Sorrow led the array masters from the ethereal imperial city to set up the second array. This time, the heavenly desolate city and the godly capital city provided a lot of resources. They didn't let Knight Sorrow carry everything alone. However, the core materials of the formation were provided by Knight Sorrow. Kuaishua 7 on _ the Grand Elder had come. Tran Hung was in Heaven Wasteland City and Lu Chi was in Shindu City. The Heaven Wasteland army was enough to station on Samsara Island, so the Grand Elder had come to help. After communicating with Knight Sorrow for a while, the Grand Elder nodded as he watched Knight Sorrow go to set up the array. His aura is steady and deep, and his strength is enough. Yes, he can even kill the cultivators of the tribulation of the 9 emperors. We might not be able to do that, King Yowu said with a smile. He has done what we can't do. We don't have to worry too much about it in the future. We will fight however he wants, the Grand Elder said with a smile. We can't do that. His main focus is still on cultivation. He has a lot of room for improvement and needs a lot of energy. His doppelganger is now setting up the array, and his original body is already in seclusion. We can't disrupt his cultivation plan. King Yowu shook his head. One more step. As long as he takes one more step, we can rest assured, the Grand Elder said. The tribulation of the 6 emperors to the tribulation of the 7 emperors was a watershed for high-level cultivators. Countless years had passed. There were cultivators of the tribulation of the 5 emperors and the tribulation of the 6 emperors in the celestial realm, but there were only 3 high-level cultivators of the tribulation of the emperor in this reincarnation cycle, Tran Hung, King Yowu, and the Grand Elder. This showed how difficult it was. The cultivators of the tribulation of the 6 emperors and the tribulation of the 7 emperors were at completely different levels. When one cultivated to the tribulation of the 7 emperors, the level of the soul would be upgraded and their life would be sublimated. For example, if a cultivator of the tribulation of the 9 emperors met a cultivator of the tribulation of the 6 emperors, he could kill them without hesitation. However, he could not kill a cultivator of the tribulation of the 7 emperors. If a cultivator of the tribulation of the 7 emperors left his body, the cultivator of the tribulation of the 9 emperors could not stop or control him without special means. It was just like the heavenly concubine, who was clearly seriously injured, but still managed to escape. Chapter 2274. Knight Sorrow had never stopped cultivating. His 9 regions doppelgangers had been studying the Thousand Realms defense technique. His main body had been cultivating except for necessary battles. He used the Wuji body tempering art to strengthen his body and cultivate at the same time. While arranging the formation, Yi Shang's understanding of the nature of the energy between heaven and earth had deepened a lot. This time, it took him 2 years to complete the unparalleled formation. Then, he handed over the control of the formation to King Yowu. King Yowu was the most suitable person to be in charge of the formation. King Yowu didn't refuse. He knew Knight Sorrow had a lot of things to do. He was the most suitable person to guard the place. While drinking tea, the Grand Elder asked about Knight Sorrow's situation. He was more concerned about this and could give some ideas. He wasn't as good as Knight Sorrow, but he was experienced. 2 years ago, I went through some fierce battles. After I went into seclusion, I integrated what I learned and gained some insights. It's a good harvest, Knight Sorrow said. How confident are you when you reach the tribulation of the 7th Emperor? The Grand Elder asked anxiously. Grand Elder, you can see it. I just finished the tribulation of the 6th Emperor not long ago. I still need time to reach the tribulation of the 7th Emperor. Knight Sorrow smiled. His main body had been cultivating in seclusion, but it was mainly to cultivate his body. He had been using the Wuji body tempering art to strengthen his body. Now, his body's cultivation had reached the late stage of the tribulation of the sixth emperor. The tribulation of the sixth emperor showed the general trend of the way of the heavens. It was the interpretation of the way. Every step forward was difficult. It was a good sign that one could keep improving. It was impossible to have a sudden epiphany or a sudden breakthrough. You need time. Well, that's a good thing. There's plenty of time. The Grand Elder nodded. He could see Night Sorrow's realm, but he was eager to know what Night Sorrow had achieved. Why, Night Sorrow, although it is the end of the era, there are still hundreds of billions of years before the new cycle begins. Uncle Master, Tran Hung, and the Grand Elder may not have the time, but you do, King Yawu said with a smile. Night Sorrow was stunned for a moment before he understood what King Yawu meant. Night Sorrow touched upon the taboo attribute. The Emperor Tribulation of an era took the initiative to descend, a deity-destroying tribulation. He had a full era to cultivate and prepare. However, Tran Hung, King Yawu, and the Grand Elder could not. Neither could the heavenly concubine, Mo Zhantian, and Mo Yutian. They were characters from the previous reincarnation and had lived for a few years at the end of the previous reincarnation. Therefore, their lifespan would not be at the beginning of the next reincarnation. The number of years they lived in the previous reincarnation would be the number of years they would be tested by the God-destroying tribulation in this reincarnation. Without passing the God-destroying tribulation, one's lifespan would not exceed one reincarnation. This was also the rule of the heavens. This was also why there was a saying that after passing the God-destroying tribulation, one would be able to control reincarnation. This was because only by controlling reincarnation could one's lifespan surpass the limit of one reincarnation. Then what is everyone's lifespan like? Uncle Master, Lord Tran Hung, and the Grand Elder, what is your situation? Night Sorrow asked worriedly. An era lasts for hundreds of billions of years. I have not even lived for hundreds of millions of years. I was born in the beginning of the last era of the previous reincarnation. The Grand Elder said with a smile. He was already indifferent to some things. He only hoped that the 100 races of the celestial realm would rise again. Next is Uncle Master. He has a lifespan of about a few billion years. King Yawu also explained his situation. Less than 10 billion years, less than one era. Lord Tran Hung is a little better. He was born in the middle of the last era of the previous reincarnation. He has a lifespan of a few eras. The Grand Elder added on Tran Hung's situation. Looking at the Grand Elder, Night Sorrow was a little anxious. This was because the Grand Elder's lifespan was really not much. For practitioners, hundreds of millions of years were nothing. Don't think too much. I have lived for so long and have seen through everything. Because I have always been in charge of the 100 races of the celestial realm, I have some luck. Otherwise, I would not have achieved what I have now. The Grand Elder said with a smile. That's not right. Grand Elder, you have not passed the tribulation of the 9 emperors for long. Night Sorrow said what he could not understand. It's like this. Because of some external reasons and the deliberate interference of practitioners, the tribulation of the 9 emperors can be delayed. After several emperors' tribulations, the tribulation of the 9 emperors can be delayed. After several emperors' tribulations, the tribulation of the 9 emperors' tribulations can be delayed. One reincarnation cycle lasts 10 eras. Normally, there are 9 emperors' tribulations and 1 God-destroying tribulation. However, it is possible to pass 8 thunder tribulations in 9 eras. However, the last God-destroying tribulation is unavoidable. King Yawu explained to Night Sorrow. After hearing King Yawu's explanation, Night Sorrow understood that this was a method that some practitioners considered when they were not sure about passing the tribulation of the 9 emperors. However, the heavenly rules could not be changed. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow told Zhuodong of the First Army and Long Jin, Yun Huang and Liang Yu of the God-slaying team. Then he left. After the formation was set up and everything was stable, he planned to go back to the 9 regions world to practice. Our leader allowed us to act freely. Then we can do whatever we want. If there is a battle order, we must gather at once. Long Jin said to the members of the god-slaying team. As for the matter of the first army, he did not care. After returning to the Nine Regions world, Knight Sorrow went into seclusion. He entered the soul-nourishing palace in the sky-ceiling Grand Hall. He wanted to pass the tribulation of the 7 emperors as soon as possible. At that time, he would not be afraid of anyone even if he had to fight alone. Knight Sorrow went into seclusion. His subordinates also went into seclusion, including his wife. The war was still going on. However, King Yawu was in charge of it. Whenever a practitioner appeared in the 100 zones near the spatial tunnel, King Yawu would send people to eliminate them according to the situation. If a high-level practitioner appeared, he would personally take action. He was a divine soul unification realm practitioner. As long as the practitioner was not in the divine soul unification realm, he could kill them all. Mo Zhantian had already understood the situation in the celestial realm. Although he was anxious, he did not dare to act rashly. There was only one chance to enter the celestial realm. Once the transmission formation of the Nirvana Ocean Bridge was activated, they would be exposed. Then, the battle with the celestial realm would officially begin. He felt that he had to wait. He needed to recover while Mo Yutian was still cultivating. Time passed. In this great era, all the practitioners had unprecedented opportunities to break through. It was just like Tran Hung, King Yawu, Unparalleled Sword Emperor and the Grand Elder. They had seized the opportunity to rise. Knight Sorrow did not come out of seclusion. He did not even send out his doppelgangers because his 2 doppelgangers were studying the Thousand Realms defensive body. Mother, when will father come out of seclusion? If he doesn't come out, I can't even get married. Yi Qinyan and her mother were talking in a mansion in the Sky City. Indeed, it's been a long time. However, you should know that we cannot interrupt your father's seclusion. Why don't we let your grandpa and grandma take care of it? Aoi looked at her daughter and said. Chapter 2275. It had been 100 years since Knight Sorrow returned to the Nine Regions world. Even the preaching date had been pushed back by Tran Hung, Zhan Yi and Yi Qingyan's relationship had matured after 100 years. Both their parents had agreed to hold the wedding at any time. However, Knight Sorrow was not around so they had to wait. Qingyan, your father is in seclusion. I'll have to trouble you and Zhan Yi for now, Lin Miao Miao smiled. She had just come out of seclusion and was already at the peak of the tribulation of the 3 emperors. She was ready to undergo the tribulation of the 4 emperors. Aunt, you're thinking too much. I'm just asking. Qingyan sat down beside Lin Miao Miao and smiled. Aunt, you're exaggerating. Nothing is more important than Martial Uncle's seclusion. This is not just his personal matter. It also concerns the future of the celestial realm and the Nine Regions world. Zhan Yi bowed to Lin Miao Miao and the others. You have a good view of the big picture. Your martial uncle's matter is indeed not just the Yi clan's matter. It concerns the big picture. However, it shouldn't take too long, Yang Lei said. Zhan Yi, have you seen your parents recently? How are they? Sikong Chuyu asked. Aunt, my mother is in charge of some matters in the Qing Emperor city. My father went to the ancient world twice. I don't know the details, Zhan Yi said. The Yi clan was very casual. Yang Lei and the others had told Zhan Yi not to be polite. However, Zhan Yi had always treated his elders with respect. It was completely different from Yi Qingyan and the others. Qingyan, wait for your father for a while longer. If he doesn't come out of seclusion in 20 years, I'll arrange it for you. You can't not get married just because of him, Yu Qing said. Grandmother, I can't do that. In my father's heart, us siblings are his favorite. If I get married while he's in seclusion, he'll definitely feel regretful. He might even feel like he owes me. Yi Qingyan shook her head. Mother, Knight Sorrow won't be in seclusion for long. He should be coming out soon, Sikong Chuyu said. He's in seclusion for 100 years. It must be very tiring. Yu Qing sighed. She had many children and grandchildren. However, she was still worried about her son. At the entrance of the spatial passage, King Yewu, the Grand Elder, and the leaders of the Celestial Realm Beast Emperors. Huang Ling looked. It's boring. After the young city lord went into seclusion, he lacked that kind of passion, so there wasn't much progress, the Golden Dragon King said after taking a sip of wine. He's young and ambitious. It's only natural that he wants to improve himself. He's been in seclusion for 100 years. When he comes out, he'll probably reach a new level, the Great Elder said with a smile. That's right. Ordinary cultivators have bottlenecks. It's very difficult to break through the bottleneck even if they grind it out over time. But he's different. I've been observing him. His body is one level higher than his soul realm. What is that? That's using strength to prove one's Tao. When the energy in his body surpasses the realm, it will drive the realm forward. Using strength to prove one's Tao is another cultivation method recognized by the heavenly Tao, King Yewu said. I'm looking forward to seeing him again. King Blood Kirin said. He had successfully broken through and returned. Once again, he broke his right arm and injected the blood chi into his body. Night Sorrow's body exploded. Night Sorrow realized that his body had turned into energy. His flesh and bones were full of crystal. Night Sorrow's body had reached the tribulation of 7 emperors. Night Sorrow, the tribulation of thunder is coming. Are you okay? The 9-region origin appeared in front of Night Sorrow. It's too late to regenerate my right arm. I'll have to go through the tribulation first. Night Sorrow sighed. He had no choice but to go through the tribulation of thunder in his peak condition. Don't worry. I can use the world's origin to block it and delay the tribulation of thunder. However, it won't take long. Hurry up. The world's origin left. At this moment, the people in 9-region city realized that something was wrong. Black clouds covered the entire 9-region city in the sky. Lightning flashed in the black clouds and there were crackling sounds of thunder. Tribulation cloud. Who's going through the tribulation? What kind of tribulation cloud is this? If it descends, it will destroy the entire 9-region city. In front of the city lord's mansion, Yun Tianlong's face was solemn. He had never heard of such a tribulation cloud before. You don't know? We've been here all this time but we haven't seen any high-level cultivators enter the 9-region world. The Realm Lord. The Realm Lord has been in seclusion in the Heaven's Sealing Hall. Taishu Yen thought of Night Sorrow. At this moment, a rich origin energy appeared around the Heaven's Sealing Hall. The origin energy with a multicolored glow shot up into the sky and resisted the tribulation cloud suppression. What's going on? Does the Night Emperor know what's going on? Yun Tianlong looked at Yi Linghuan. In the past, Yi Linghuan was part of the upper echelon of the Night Moon dynasty. Some people called him the Night Emperor. The world's origin energy is resisting the tribulation cloud. Perhaps the person undergoing the tribulation is not ready. The person undergoing the tribulation should be Night Sorrow. The world's origin energy will only care about his situation. The world's origin energy will not make a big fuss about other people's lives. Yi Linghuan said. In the Heaven's Sealing Hall, Night Sorrow took out the black horn dragon's heart blood, which contained the purest energy. He also used a pill to regenerate his broken limb at full speed. He wanted to recover as soon as possible so that he could face the tribulation of thunder. 2 hours later, Night Sorrow finished regenerating his right arm after cultivating for 4 days in a time acceleration environment. The world's origin energy appeared again. He told Night Sorrow that he could only hold off the tribulation of thunder for 2 hours. The rest would depend on Night Sorrow himself. Thank you. I'm fine right now. Night Sorrow turned to look at his clone, who was sitting cross-legged in meditation. The clone flashed and merged with the main body. Good. Then I'll wait to congratulate you, Realm Lord. The 9 realms origin energy nodded to Night Sorrow. After leaving the Heaven's Sealing Hall, Night Sorrow streaked across the sky and left 9 realms city with the Tribulation Cloud. He rushed toward the Realm Sea. Yi Linghuan and the others followed. Night Sorrow didn't deliberately shake anyone off, so everyone could keep up. At the same time, Chu Lingfei, who was passing by 9 realms city, went to Sky City to notify the Yi family. The Yi family, led by the Heavenly Concubine, also arrived at the Realm Sea. Night Sorrow landed on a small island in the Realm Sea. The sea breeze blew at his robes. Looking up at the Tribulation Cloud, Night Sorrow wasn't nervous. Instead, he was excited. In the past, when his body broke through, the tribulation of thunder wouldn't descend. This time, it was because his body had improved. Clothes fluttering, smiling at the Tribulation Cloud. How elegant. The Heavenly Concubine clapped her hands. Chapter 2276. 7th Emperor Lightning Tribulation. 7th Emperor Lightning Tribulation is the symbol of a top cultivator. After passing this tribulation, your father will be the 4th top cultivator of the celestial realm. Plus, he won't be the weakest, said the Heavenly Concubine. Emperor Tribulation. Many people didn't know about this level. Yi Xiaoluo had only heard about it. Those who weren't Emperor Tribulation cultivators didn't know what it meant. On the other hand, Lin Piaomiao was so excited that her face turned red. In the past, only the 3 giants of the celestial realm were above the 7th Emperor Tribulation. If Night Sorrow passed the tribulation, he would stand at this height. After circulating his energy, Night Sorrow exhaled. Then, his avatar left his body and stood outside the range of the lightning tribulation. Then, his original body sat down cross-legged. What is he doing? Sikong Chiyu turned to the Heavenly Concubine and asked anxiously. He's using the tribulation energy to refine his body. He did this during the 6th Emperor Tribulation. Don't worry, he has absolute confidence. Otherwise, he wouldn't do this, said the Heavenly Concubine. Last time, when Night Sorrow was undergoing tribulation, she was there so she knew about Night Sorrow's situation. Night Sorrow had indeed planned to do this. He had been in seclusion for a long time. His body's energy had increased but it was still flawed. If he could undergo tribulation, it would help settle down. While everyone was talking, the tribulation clouds rolled and an explosion sounded. A black lightning bolt struck towards Night Sorrow's head. Night Sorrow waved his left hand and space-time rules appeared. He slowed down the speed of the tribulation. Then, his body flashed 3 times and 3 light circles appeared around Night Sorrow's body. The 1,000-world defense body has reached 3 realms. This talent is really amazing. The Heavenly Concubine was shocked. She knew what the 3 light circles around Night Sorrow were. They were 3 Sumeru worlds. After the lightning was slowed down by space-time rules, it came into contact with Night Sorrow's Sumeru worlds. After being blocked by the 3 Sumeru worlds, only a third of the lightning tribulation's energy actually hit Night Sorrow's body. Night Sorrow didn't attack. He allowed the lightning to enter his body and travel through his body. He controlled the energy in his body to resist the lightning, and in the process, he cleaned up the flaws in his energy. Night Sorrow's body contained a terrifying amount of energy. It only took a few waves of impact to melt the first lightning tribulation. After dissolving the lightning energy, Night Sorrow folded his arms and pressed them in front of him. Then, he exhaled a mouthful of black gas. That was the turbid gas left behind by the lightning tribulation energy and the impurities in his body. When the second lightning tribulation descended, Night Sorrow did not retaliate. Instead, he used his Tao domain and 1,000 realms defense to affect the lightning tribulation. Then, he continued to endure the lightning tribulation, refining it and tempering his body at the same time. The memory crystal ball in the Heavenly Concubine's left hand was lit up. She wanted to record this historic moment because no one could transcend a tribulation like this. The memory crystal ball represented history in the future. It was a witness to history. The lightning tribulation was different from what the heavenly concubine knew. When she transcended the tribulation of the 7 kings, she withstood 9 lightning tribulations. After each lightning tribulation, there would be a break. However, Night Sorrow's was not like that. Night Sorrow's lightning tribulation did not have a break. It came one after another. After the 9th lightning tribulation, there was a break. Then, there were 9 lightning tribulations. Although each lightning tribulation's power was a little weaker than when she transcended it, the number was terrifying. The power is weaker, but the number is ridiculous, the heavenly concubine muttered. 9 lightning tribulations formed a wave that kept attacking Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow had used up a lot of energy, but he relied on refining the lightning tribulation energy to replenish himself. He could still withstand it. After the 6th wave of lightning tribulation, the lightning tribulation stopped. The tribulation cloud spun above the realm sea, brewing. Night Sorrow, be careful. 7 is the realm point. You're also a tribulation of the 7 kings. This might be a fierce wave, the heavenly concubine shouted at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow turned his head and smiled at the heavenly concubine. He knew the next wave of lightning tribulation would be fiercer than the previous ones. The lightning tribulation brewed for a while. Then, the tribulation clouds exploded. 9 lightning tribulations whizzed down and struck at Night Sorrow. What? What is your family doing? Are you trying to kill me? The heavenly concubine was about to curse, but when she saw the Night Sorrow Jr. next to her, she stopped. However, she was still very emotional. Night Sorrow's expression changed. He expected this wave of lightning tribulation to be very strong, but he didn't expect it to be 9 lightning tribulations at the same time. Spatial rend, spatial rend. Yi Shang unleashed several spatial rends in succession, creating several spatial rifts that blocked the path of the lightning tribulation. Then, with the help of the human Tao's sacred scripture, the Book of Taoism, and the human emperor's seal, Yi Shang's primordial Tao domain expanded, affecting and melting the power of the lightning tribulation. It was difficult for him to withstand 9 lightning tribulations at the same time. Although he wouldn't be destroyed, he would be injured. He didn't know what would happen next. Night Sorrow wouldn't allow himself to be injured so easily. Night Sorrow used all his strength to block and defend. The speed and power of the 9 lightning tribulations decreased by half. Then, Night Sorrow used his left fist to meet the lightning tribulations. The lightning tribulations entered Night Sorrow's body. After the lightning tribulations entered his body, Night Sorrow realized something was wrong. 5 of the lightning tribulations entered his divine sea, and 4 entered his body. The ribbon binding Yi Shang's hair broke. His hair fluttered and fell on his shoulders. Then, Yi Shang sat on the ground and used his virtuous Tao body and soul power to resist the destruction of the thunder energy invading his body. The energy of the 9 lightning tribulations was too violent. The impact made Night Sorrow's soul unstable. Night Sorrow didn't spit out a mouthful of blood. He didn't want his family to worry. In Night Sorrow's divine sea, the crescent blade of the soul destroyer danced quickly. It killed the lightning tribulations. The primordial Tao domain and reincarnation Tao domain in his body kept clashing with the lightning tribulations. Father is in danger. Yi Qingyan's face was full of worry. This is your father's path. No one can interfere. Whoever enters the lightning tribulations will die. The heavenly concubine grabbed Yi Qingyan's shoulder. She was worried that Yi Qingyan would act recklessly. Lin Ethereal released her Tao domain and covered the children of the Yi family. Like the heavenly concubine, she was also worried that someone would act recklessly. Night Sorrow's clone moved. It held the blood-Kirin evil-slaying spear and stood in front of his original body. His original body didn't have much combat power. If there was a tribulation, his clone would have to deal with it. The tribulation cloud spun in the sky, but no lightning tribulations came down. Night Sorrow's original body used all his strength to resist the lightning tribulations that entered his divine sea and body. An hour passed. Night Sorrow refined the lightning tribulations in his body. The 5 lightning tribulations in his divine sea were still fighting with the soul destroyer Slash. After the lightning tribulations dissipated, the energy entered Night Sorrow's nascent soul. This energy didn't harm Night Sorrow's nascent soul. Instead, it covered Night Sorrow's nascent soul with a layer of purple lightning. No lightning tribulations came down. Night Sorrow continued to refine the lightning tribulations energy. Head. Hair, you're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.